If you've ever let loose a string of profanities at 5 a.m. because you stubbed your toe, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, folks, and welcome back to another episode of Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook as we close out the first full week of the quarter and second half, and it is a big one. SK Hynix makes its debut here today, and I'm sure that's going to have a ton of eyeballs on it. In ADR, we're not sure what time yet, but it is going to be one of the biggest events of the summer and definitely the biggest event here today. I do have some interesting news to go through for you here today. We're going to have Mark Putrino on. We're going to have Anne-Marie on. We're going to have a Friday fun day, and we're going to close this week out strong like we always do. Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook, the Friday edition for July 10th, 2026, begins right now. Good morning and welcome back, folks. And indeed, TGIF, we're all happy to make it towards the end of the week here, and we're almost at that time to start having some more fun. We have another session to get through first. Robert is first here today. Good morning, TGIF. Amen, Robert. You got it. Derek, good morning. It's a fantastic Friday. I love that. What makes it fantastic? That's absolutely fabulous. Fabulous Friday, fantastic Friday. Friday Fun Day. We'll keep that alliteration going, Derek. We'll keep it going. Good stuff. Crispy Biscuit, good morning. Welcome back. Zach McCracken, good morning. And to the rest of the Benzie gang. Potji, good afternoon. How excited are you, Potji? How excited are you for the game today? Let me know what you think the final score will be. I'm curious. Peter, good morning. Welcome back. Robert says, can we look at GMM? Yes, we can. We're going to wait for the movers. I can help you out. They had a form last night from the SEC, blah, 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 50-for-1 reverse stock split. So you know what to expect from this. We've seen this a whole bunch of times. That's all that's going on there. But GMM will be covered, I'm sure, in the pre-market pulse section coming up in just about an hour here. Janie, good morning. Welcome back. Yes, that girl. Good morning. Welcome back. Master Chief, good morning and happy Friday. Francis, good morning. Welcome back. Wiss, good morning. Wiss says China is flying. Wiss, what is your favorite China play here today? Let me know. Derek says Fidelity doesn't allow China trades. Derek, for our other Fidelity users, is there a way that you can reach out to the support team and have like a restriction lifted like we can here on TOS on some of these? Or are they just like, no, you just can't do this? I'd be curious to know. Astro Kev, good morning. Welcome back. And indeed, I know we're preparing for that Starship launch next week. Should be good. Big event here for SpaceX. Wouldn't be surprised, actually, if it sold off, and that doesn't mean that the launch is not successful. We've seen it before. Successful launches have caused fear in other space stocks, and now we'll see what it does here for SpaceX. I am really curious about how that's going to go, though. Azalaf, good morning. Welcome back. Producer, thanks for all you do, boss. Good morning and welcome back. Jay Wild, good morning. Welcome back. G-Cord, good morning. Liam, good morning. Sergeant Sexy, good morning. Marionette, great to see you again. Welcome back. Ed, great to see you. Let the games begin. Happy Friday. Let's go. This is going to be about SK Hynix today. Brian, good morning. SK Hynix time. See, what did I tell you? Acorns, good morning. Apple's going to pop at the bell and then retrace and then pop back up. LOL. All right, Acorns, that's oddly specific, but I love it. We'll see if we end up getting that. Can you tell me why it's going to do exactly that? I'd be curious. Carlos, TGIF indeed. Good morning. Welcome back. Brandy, locked in, ready to go. Good morning. Benny, happy Friday. Good morning. Linda, likewise. Good morning. Dimebag, good morning. Cam, good morning. Alvin, good morning. Scott, good morning. Katrina, good morning. Katrina from Cyprus, again, love being here. We love having you here. So this is a good match. Let's go. Joseph, good morning. You're also glad it's Friday? That makes all of us. Kenneth, good morning. Lance, good morning. It's already hot and sticky in Texas. Actually, here in Chicago, it has been hot this week. It is actually cooling off. I think it's happening for me, right? Because it's like cooling off today and Saturday, and it's going to start getting warmer on Sunday, but it's giving me ample time to wash the car and play golf outside in non-life-threatening heat. But next week, while I'm working, yeah, we're back to mid 90s and humid. So it's gonna be a scorcher coming up here. Hey, it's July though. We should expect it. Durkis, good morning. Corey, good morning. Robot to Trade, good morning. Bob, good morning. Just passing through, good morning. Delvin, good morning. Dara, good morning. Crankbait, great to see you, boss. Good morning. Tyler, likewise, good morning. HP Darkside Hemi, good morning. Barb, welcome back. And D-Tab, what about Tesla, NVIDIA, and SPY? Oh, I am sure we are going to look at all three of those today. SPY breakdown comes right after the morning news here. So, yeah, we got that coming. Speaking of which, let's go ahead and get started with our stock market today. All right, futures are mixed here ahead of Friday's open. S&P futures are up off of the lows, but still red, down 0.14%. S&P futures actually just below VWAP as we speak. Dow futures are barely holding on to green. It's up 0.05%. That's also down from the highs here this morning. And the Nasdaq leading the way lower, down 0.5%, minus 0.50%. That too is off its early morning highs. Now, let's take a look at cues from last session, as well as what we may expect here for today. Information technology, consumer discretionary, and financial stocks recorded the biggest gains on Thursday, while consumer staples and energy shares bucked the trend to close lower. U.S. stocks settled higher as the Nasdaq Composite added over 300 points amid a semiconductor surge. U.S. stock futures were mixed on Friday as the Dow Jones advanced while the Nasdaq 100 and S&P 500 indices fell following Thursday's higher close. As the tensions in the Middle East re-escalated this week, MS Now reported that the U.S. will engage in, quote, technical talks, end quote, with Iran and remain committed to resolving the conflict. This followed fresh reports from the Wall Street Journal on Thursday that said Iran has developed a fresh plan to kill President Trump, marking what could be a significant escalation in tensions between Washington and Tehran. Market attention is centered on the AI sector ahead of SK Hynix. That's going to be ticker SKHY, ahead of their highly anticipated NASDAQ debut. This IPO arrives as investors evaluate a recent semiconductor sell-off that has tested confidence in the AI boom. Meanwhile, the 10-year Treasury bond yielded 4.54%, and the 2-year bond was at 4.17%. The CME Group's FedWatch tool projections show that the markets are pricing a 79.1% likelihood of the Federal Reserve leaving the current interest rates unchanged during July's meeting. Now, we've got several stocks in focus here for you today. We're going to go ahead and cover those as soon as I can find my mouse here. First one is going to be PMGC Holdings. The ticker is ELAB, E-L-A-B, and it surged 17.94% in the pre-market on Friday after the biopharmaceutical company disclosed a merger between two wholly owned subsidiaries, namely AGA Precision Systems, LLC, and A&B Aerospace. The next stock on our list here today is going to be WD-40. Yeah, the industrial lubricant. Ticker is WDFC, and it was 14.86% higher after it reported better than expected third quarter financial results. This is notable to me. No AI involved at all in WD-40, but it is popping large on its earnings report. The next stock on our list is going to be Simulations Plus. The ticker is SLP. It slipped 0.65% despite reporting upbeat earnings for the third quarter after the closing bell on Thursday. The next stock on our list is going to be EquipmentShare.com, and the ticker is EQPT. It was 17.75% higher after it raised its 2026 fiscal guidance and announced a $500 million share repurchase program amid strong demand. The last stock on our list is going to be Netflix today, ticker NFLX. Stock was 0.54% higher as the streaming giant reportedly said it is rethinking its strategies to keep up with competitors. Rethinking its strategies. What group of people were talking about Netflix maybe needing to do that because of the content? God, I can't remember. Someone's going to have to remind me what group of brilliant people were saying that over and over again. Anyway, Let me zoom into the SPY chart here. We'll see where we are and how we're setting up for today. Guess what? Yesterday, we traded back up to this trend line. Today, we're basically trading around the trend line. Do think that 750 should be support. Now, let me actually just go inside here and I can show you. Here's what it looked like this morning. It looked like we were trying to defend 750. And I would imagine that at least there will be the attempt to do that when the market opens here today. Let's see if SK Hynix maybe changes the character or the sentiment here today. We'll see how we end up closing. But if you look at this daily chart, it sure seems like we're going to need a decision point here pretty soon. We are at the trend line. We're either going to break out from this downtrend or we're going to break down. We do have the 20 and the 50 days supporting us now. That 50-day has moved up to the 740 previous resistance and support level that we've talked about. So we have a lot of convergence here. And if we do sell off, we should absolutely expect some pretty significant support here between 740 and 743. So I would think that our downside here is limited, knock on wood, because now that I've said that, if I jinx it for everybody, I apologize in advance. But I do think that we should have some pretty nice support if we do end up moving lower. If we move higher, the question for me is, do we have enough strength to break and then hold above the trend? Now, yesterday, we actually technically did close above the trend line. But if you take a closer look, it becomes very clear what we were struggling with. We really couldn't get above the high from Monday, which basically ran up to that trend line. So this whole area in here, 750, 752, I'd like us to make a convicted move either above or below this. I personally think it's going to be above. We talked a lot about the seasonality playing into that. That's what I would bet on here. But we're going to remain nimble. We're traders. That's what we do. Those are the key levels that I'm looking at here today. All right, let's take a look at some insights from analysts and see what they have to say. Mason Mendez, that sounds like a relief pitcher in baseball, from Global Real Assets Analyst at Wells Fargo Investment Institute. Okay, let me show Mason some respect here. I apologize for butchering that, so I'm just going to start over. Mason Mendez, Global Real Assets Analyst at Wells Fargo Investment Institute, maintains a positive, cautious outlook on the U.S. stock market and the economy. As geopolitical oil risks subside, Mendez notes investors are refocusing on corporate earnings and Federal Reserve policy. Quote, the outlook for equities remains positive, end quote. Mendez stated that, supported by the S&P 500 index year-end target of 7,800 to 8,000 for 2026. However, near-term headwinds persist. Sticky inflation could prompt the Fed to keep interest rates higher for longer, which pressures growth stocks and heightens market sensitivity. Tech corporate earnings face intense scrutiny as recent market rotations suggest, quote, expectations have moved ahead of near-term earnings reality, end quote. That is regarding artificial intelligence profits. While Mendez believes the long-term AI narrative is intact, high expectations create room for volatility, a risk further complicated by rising investor leverage. To navigate these conditions, Mendez advises staying invested through the volatility while avoiding overconcentration. He suggests maintaining a selective approach to information technology and balancing portfolios with attractive valuations in financials, industries, utilities, and materials. So that's actually really good to hear. Stay the course, right? This is a lot of what I've been doing. If I don't see like a short-term trade that I feel real good about, I just kind of pass and stay the course. S&P 500 popping big right now. Probably a piece of news out there that I just don't see. If anyone has it, let me know. Huge power candle on the SPY and the S&P. We are above the pre-market highs. So, okay, I'll let you know when that news comes across the wire here. It may have already. I just don't have my news feed open and I don't have Squawk on. But we'll see. We'll see how this ends up shaking out. We did hear that there are still some talks going on and all of that. So maybe we're getting some positive developments with the conflict here. Okay, I'll keep rolling here. Looks like we're retracing that move a little bit. So maybe that was just some overzealous traders here on a Friday morning. We'll see. All right, now this story. This is an interesting one for me. We've talked a lot about some of the mega IPOs. We talked about the ones we liked. We've mentioned Anduril a lot here. And we got a warning here. So I'd be curious to see what you folks make of this. Anduril CEO warns that AI and defense valuations are becoming dangerously overvalued. And as a result, the company is not rushing their IPO. Now, I will say this, nobody confirmed that it was going to be this year. We kind of assumed that based on the rhetoric that we were hearing. But now we're starting to hear something a little different, question mark. Anduril Industries is opting to stay private for now. As CEO Brian Schimpf says soaring AI and defense company valuations make the current market an unfavorable environment for a public listing. On Thursday, speaking with CNBC's Julia Borston at the Allen & Company's Sun Valley Conference, Schimpf said Anduril is focused on long-term shareholder returns rather than capitalizing on today's enthusiasm surrounding artificial intelligence and defense technology. Quote, we define a successful IPO as our investors got a good return 3 years from actually going out, end quote. He went on to say, a bad time to do that is in the middle of a hype cycle. So we're not in a rush to go out, end quote. His comments come as defense technology companies continue to attract investor interest amid rising military spending and growing demand for AI-powered defense systems. Schimpf cautioned that many private companies are being priced on optimistic growth expectations rather than fundamentals. We've seen that ourselves. Quote, we're seeing crazy high valuations on the expectations of future growth, end quote. He goes on to say, I'm not sure the market is particularly rational on the pricing right now, end quote. He added that some companies are dangerously leading into overvalued territory in a way that could backfire, end quote. These remarks are notable because Anduril itself has benefited from the AI investment boom. The defense startup doubled its valuation to $61 billion in May, making it one of the world's most valuable private technology companies. The company develops autonomous drones, AI-powered weapons, and other defense systems. While Anduril founder Palmer Luckey has previously said the company, quote, definitely plans to go public eventually, no formal timeline has been announced. Schimpf suggested waiting for a more balanced market, which could ultimately benefit investors, arguing that a strong IPO should deliver substantial returns well beyond its debut, rather than rely on short-term excitement driven by an AI-fueled rally. So, and actually, just going on with that, despite space exploration technology or SpaceX record IPO last month, the tech IPO market remains muted. Shares of Elon Musk's space and AI company surged to 201.80 on the third day of trading, but have since dropped 25%, trading just above their $150 debut price. That's on deck here today. Meanwhile, OpenAI and Anthropic have confidentially filed for IPOs, but have not set timelines. With valuations nearing $1 trillion, some investors are questioning whether public markets will support such lofty price tags. So I don't want to get too far ahead of things here. I totally admit I was definitely expecting this IPO this year. What they're saying actually makes a lot of sense, right? If you believe that this is a hype cycle and IPOing into that means you're probably going to pull back at some point, and that may throw off that 3-year timeline. Now, the other thing that's inherent in that is that we have this CEO telling you, hey, kind of in a hype cycle right now, maybe some frothy valuations out there. And these are things that we look for and talk about all of the time here. So I am still excited for this company. This doesn't change any of that for me. Just makes me wonder what we have in store for the rest of the year here and whether or not we get this IPO. All right, now here's another story. This this might elicit some reactions on both sides. Elon Musk says SpaceX would be worth more than Earth if it achieves its goals amid a first AI satellite reveal. What's going on with this? SpaceX, ticker SPCX, CEO Elon Musk says that the commercial spaceflight giant could potentially be worth more than the entire planet Earth if it can achieve its goals. That's a real quote, by the way. On Thursday, user @ThomasALXDMY took to the social media platform X, expressing his take on the XAI Anthropic deal, which sees Anthropic paying a total of $45 billion through May 2029 to SpaceX to use its compute capacity at the Colossus and Colossus 2 data centers. Quote, I wonder if history will look back at the $7.5 to $40 billion Anthropic SpaceX AI deal as the biggest unforced heir of the AI era, end quote. User said that while also outlining that the deal could hinder Anthropic's IPO as users could transfer most token exchange to SpaceX and, quote, Claude is only used for the top tasks, end quote. Now, Musk responded to the user, sharing his own take on the matter, quote, you don't seem to understand that SpaceX will be worth more than the rest of Earth if we accomplish our goals, end quote. He said that in the post. On Thursday, SpaceX also revealed renderings of the company's AI-1 satellite, part of its StarMind constellation, which is a constellation of satellites dedicated to AI compute. The satellites will support chips from all providers and possess a 150 kilowatt peak compute payload, as well as an average payload compute of 120 kilowatts. The satellites will have a wingspan of 70 meters and have a 150 kilowatt solar array. The StarMind constellation will be interconnected via laser links, which will beam AI compute back to the Earth's surface via its Starlink satellite internet service. Satellites will also have, quote, deployable liquid radiators, end quote, which would reject heat into the vacuum of space, according to the StarMind website. Notably, Musk has been a staunch supporter of orbital AI compute, most recently saying it is the only way to overcome Earth-based bottlenecks to AI compute. Quote, space is the only way to scale at scale, end quote. It was from Elon Musk. So let me know. Let me know what you think. Do you think SpaceX is going to be worth more than Earth? That might be a bridge too far for me right now, but I do think it eventually is going to be worth more than it is right now. Who's buying on this? Who's buying on this? And actually, it's funny. Up 30, you're asking, how much does the Earth cost? There was once a program on the History Channel. I can't remember the exact name of it. But what it tried to do was it tried to logically value the entire Earth by estimating and or measuring different components of the Earth and what we know about mineral composition. They were able to total up like all of the gold and silver and silicon and all of the other Earth's components. I can't remember what it came to, but it was astronomically high. I'm not sure I'm there yet, although this company is going to be it's going to be great in the future. There's no question about it. Okay. Now this story might be my favorite one here. This might also get some people all hot under the collar a little bit. It's a fun story though. The AI Futures Project, a nonprofit initiative that forecasts the future of artificial intelligence, recently outlined a proposal for a citizens' dividend by the U.S. government following AI-induced unemployment. In the AI 2040 Plan A, the nonprofit says that by 2033, AI-induced unemployment would rise due to the advent of millions of AI agents boosting productivity. Quote, across a variety of companies, there are now 60 million AI agents running continuously at 20 times human speed, end quote. The nonprofit then mentions a plan that involves the American government distributing, quote, a majority of compute and robot permit fees as a citizen's dividend to all American adults, end quote. The plan mentions the dividend starting at $45,000 per person in 2032, but climbing to $1 million per person by 2035 and $10 million by 2040. The plan also predicts AI reaching a labor share of 85% by 2035. The initiative also predicts the U.S. government distributing an average of $1,200 per person per year to the rest of the world's adult population, end quote. Around 4 billion people. The plan excludes China because it would be experiencing a similar AI wealth boom. The plan says it will reach 10K by 2035. Earlier, OpenAI was reportedly offering President Trump's administration a 5% stake in the company amid CEO Sam Altman's past proposal for a universal basic capital model that involved distributing a small share of AI-generated wealth. Taking to the social media platform X on Thursday, short seller Jim Chanos weighed in on its predictions. Quote, at about the same time SpaceX's valuations exceeds global GDP. Seems reasonable. end quote. Pointed, of course, to SpaceX. Now, the comments come as SpaceX CEO Elon Musk had said that the company would be worth more than the entire planet in the future. Again, the quote's so unbelievable here. You don't seem to understand that SpaceX will be worth more than the rest of Earth if we accomplish our goals. He had earlier also said that the limiting factor of AI was Earth-based data centers, touting space really as the only way to meaningfully scale AI, as we discussed. So what do you think, folks? What do you think about a citizen's dividend that starts at 45K and ends up at 10 million? That would be something else. That would be something else. I wonder what inflation would do if that was the case. That's just me thinking out loud. Don't mind me. All right. Another piece of news here. And when I saw this hit the wire, my initial thought was, ooh, this might be bad. But when I looked into it, I realized that there is a good reason for this. And I thought that it would be good to share with the rest of the group here. I hope I get this name right. It's a cool name. I'm just not sure if I'm pronouncing it right. Fidji Simo stepped down from her full-time role as OpenAI's president of applications on Thursday, transitioning to a part-time advisory position after her chronic illness recovery proved longer than she had anticipated. In her X post, Simo wrote that she, quote, shared with the OpenAI team that I have decided to leave my full-time role at OpenAI and transition to being a part-time advisor, end quote. She added that the truth is that she, quote, is only making this decision now because I failed to make it many times before, end quote. Simo said she took medical leave 3 months ago after a severe exacerbation of a chronic illness she has lived with for 7 years. She recalled once declining for a full year of medical leave offered by Meta, saying CEO Mark Zuckerberg had told her to, quote, play the long game, end quote. Responding to Simo's post, Rishien Reddy, a colleague and co-founder, called Simo an N of one, writing that sometimes the harder thing isn't to keep pushing, it's knowing when you have to prioritize you, end quote. OpenAI appointed Simo, then Instacart's CEO, Instacart, by the way, ticker CART, to the newly created role of Chief Applications in May of 2025, and she reported directly to CEO Sam Altman. Simo went on medical leave in April, resulting in a shuffle in leadership at OpenAI. Greg Brockman oversaw production in Simo's absence. Brad Lightcap, whom we've quoted here many times, OpenAI's chief operating officer, transitioned to a new role focused on special projects. Denise Dresser, the company's chief revenue officer, assumed most of Lightcap's responsibilities. Simo's change in role follows a string of senior departures at OpenAI this year, including its head of private equity leaving for Google and a sales leader departing for Thrive Capital. Simo also thanked OpenAI CEO Sam Altman, President Brockman, for their broad support. And in her post, she said she remains committed to working towards disease cures through OpenAI and her involvement with Chronicle Bio AI and Coda Research. So another top person at OpenAI is leaving, but frankly, we have a very good reason for this, and it's not necessarily a reason to worry about the company kind of struggling, brain drain, or any of that stuff. Obviously, this health is wealth, right? We talk about it all of the time, and it's way more important than some of this other stuff. We all, of course, hope Fidji is okay and is able to have a great rest of her life here. All right, let's see. What time is it? I think. The last story that I have here is one on Cathie Wood. It's actually on AMD, but it invokes Cathie Wood. I'm going to hold it just in case we need some extra content here. We actually have Mark ready today, and we're going to go to Mark. I think you guys would probably appreciate that a little bit more. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's bring on Mark Putrino. Mark, happy Friday. How you doing, my man?
Hey, I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing really good. It's I was joking earlier today. It cooled off a little bit here for the weekend, just so I could go outside, play golf, and wash my car without it being an oven. and then it's going to return to oven temperatures next week. So I'm optimistic about this weekend here. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, cool.
You want
all right.
to share a screen?
Yeah, sure. Okay.
All right. What do you got for us here today, boss?
Well, I'll just talk about this real quick. I was working on this last night for my trading lessons I'm putting together. There's this technical analyst named Martin Pring. I don't know if he's still around, but he was pretty big back in the 80s and the 90s. And he came up with this method here that he called the KST. I think it's called no sure thing, no meaning N-O, K-N-O-W. And basically what he does is just looks at 3 different time frames, your short term, your intermediate term, and your long term. And if we get oversold in all 3 of those time frames, and then we start to revert in all 3 of those time frames, that's your buy order. So this is what we call the rate of change indicator. It's like an RSI indicator, but it's just calculated differently. It's how much percentage the thing has changed in X many days. So that's a 10-day for the short term. That's a 20-day for the intermediate term. And that is the 50-day for the long term. So just a pretty interesting thing to think about. There's these different trends or trends within trends, right? There's really no such thing as a long-term trend or a short-term trend. It's really in the eye of the beholder. So if you're a day trader, your long-term trend might be 150 minutes. If you're a swing trader, it could be 150 days. So that's what I call the fractal nature of trading. You could look at charts of different time horizons, and if it wasn't labeled, you want to know, like, is this a day chart? This is gold. If we look at a 1-day chart, let's see. You see the same patterns here. So like, for example, right here, you can see that we have a price level that was a support level and it turned into a resistance level. Now, this is this is short-term. Remember, these are your day traders or your short-term traders. People who bought here and here are selling to get out of here. Well, people who are selling here are buying back here. People who sell here get seller's remorse, and they say, if I could buy my shares back, or in this case, my gold back, at the same price I sold it, I will. So when we drop back, remorseful sellers can create support at the former support level. Now, when this happened, people who bought there, first they thought they made a good move, but when the support broke, they say, if I can get out of this at break even, I will. So when we rally back up, remorseful buyers placing sell orders can make what was support become resistance. So now if we look at the 1-year chart, you can see the same dynamic playing out where support becomes resistance and support at a former support level. So this is the psychology of the swing traders, I guess you could call them, or the longer term traders.
Now, Mark, let me ask you a real quick question about this. Just fast forwarding ahead here a little bit. Is it safe then to assume that resistance areas that you find on longer time frames, resistance and support, I beg your pardon, is it true then that the more we see these on longer time frames, the more sticky or the more substantial they are? In other words, is it the same weighting to a daily support and resistance pivot as you would on a 5-minute chart, for example?
Well, I mean, again, it all depends on your time horizon. I would think, if you're, it depends on the horizon. I think I'm not really quite sure if I'm answering the question, but it just,
I guess like if you're doing technical analysis and you identify a resistance area on a 5-minute chart and a resistance area on a daily chart, are you more apt to think that the daily chart resistance might be a little bit tougher because it's on a longer time frame?
Yeah, I would say that. Okay. And I would also say, even if you're a day trader, you should know where these longer term trends and levels are, because if all you're doing is looking at the 1-day chart, you're kind of, you're not going to see that this level here was a former support level. So during the course of the day, as you're a day trader, that would have been a good place to sell. Now, if you weren't aware of this level, then you wouldn't realize that. And also, if you're aware of this level and you're a day trader, well, you can see that the trend is changed off here. So we failed at the resistance and had a big move lower. So even if you're a short-term trader, you should understand what the longer-term dynamics are, because unless there's news on something, what's going to move it is some kind of a technical thing. If it gets overbought, if it gets oversold, if it breaks an important price level. So I'm watching SpaceX for my anticipated put buying spree.
Okay. I love it.
Yeah, now look at that.
150. We've been looking at it like crazy, man.
Now this could be, I'm pretty sure, I can't swear, or I can't tell for 100% sure, but this could be what you call a stabilization bid, where when a company comes public, if the stock isn't acting well, the market makers at the firms that brought it public will put out what they call these stabilization bids. And it's legal. It's not market manipulation. There's something called like a market maker's exemption or something, but that's not going to be there forever. And I would suspect that once that stabilization bid ends, this thing could drop like a rock. So I got my eyes on this for that. And I know we've been talking about this before. It just seems like history repeats itself. These hot IPOs come out, they skyrocket out of the gate and they drop like rocks. And then eventually they consolidate and become like a regular stock. So I'm watching that. And let's just see what's going on with the S&P.
Now, real quick, are you looking to take a short? I know you don't short stock outright. You're a fan of buying puts in that case. Yeah. Are you waiting for that to just break 150 or 152.16, whatever you have marked there? Or are you waiting for something else? Are you waiting for maybe like a peak below, a back test, inability to get back above it? What's like tactically, what are you looking at here for this?
Well, I would say if this thing gets down to like 145 or so,
okay.
Well, I mean, you would just have to see, does it, if it goes down and it comes back and then this support turns into resistance, then that would be the the opportunity to buy puts. If it doesn't come back and it just sinks like a rock, I mean, then that would be a good opportunity as well. So we're just going to have to wait and see and just see how it plays out. It's pretty quiet this morning here, and also too, we do have, I mean, I know this doesn't really have a long trading history, but we do have this kind of lower high thing going on here. Your old classic descending triangle pattern.
I was just going to say, I cannot help it. I see a triangle there, a descending triangle there from the high to where your support level is drawn.
Yeah, exactly. So this is the oil market. Now, this is why you shouldn't listen to the news. That's one of the biggest problems I see that people have is they try to follow the news and they like follow these narratives. I mean, when this whole thing in Iran started up again, or I don't know, who knows if it ever even ended, people were saying, oh, oil is going to go to $100 a barrel, $120 a barrel. So we had two kind of decent days, and then it kind of just petered out. And we found support at a former resistance level. So is this a rally because of the war? Or is it a rally because it's just rallying off of a support level? Or is it chicken and egg thing? I mean, I don't really know. But for me, it's a lot easier to understand the charts than to understand all the geopolitical stuff. Now, here is your classic descending triangle. Forget about the name. Just think about what this illustrates. The buyers are being patient. Or like, all right, well, if the sellers come, we'll buy. But if not, we don't really care. At the same time, the sellers are getting increasingly aggressive. They are coming in at lower prices. So that's why you get these lower highs. So this pattern is essentially an illustration of aggressive sellers and complacent buyers. And whatever market you're in, whether it's the stock market, the real estate market, if you're buying, a classic power muscle car, right? If you're trying to sell your Ford Mustang for $100,000 and 50 people show up and start bidding on it, well, the price is going to go higher. If there's no one there and you really need to sell it, you're going to start reducing your price. So it's the same thing that happens in any kind of the financial markets, whether it's crypto, commodities, stocks. You see the same stuff in all these charts, and that's really a fascinating thing to me. Is if you think about how big these markets are, just think about how big the gold market is, and believe it or not, probably 90% of people who are on Wall Street are not looking at charts. It's a very, very small part, like investment bankers, private equity guys, long-term value investors, buy and hold, like they're not really looking at charts. And yet somehow all these things come together. It's like on the one hand, we're trading for ourselves, but on the other hand, we're also trading as part of the herd. And we don't even realize it sometimes, because look at how you can just get these precision levels. It's like, how could this happen when there's so many different people involved in this? And yet that's just one of these like remarkable things about the market. is just how these levels can form and stay intact and so forth. Now here is your classic. This is the opposite of the descending triangle. This is the ascending triangle, and this is a really textbook example of one. Now this shows the opposite. Here it's the sellers who are patient,
Yep.
and it's the buyers who are becoming more aggressive. They're coming in at higher levels. So now you have a market with aggressive buyers and complacent sellers. So if the sellers know the buyers are really aggressive, they're going to kind of pull away and raise their offer prices, and that puts us into an uptrend. Then you can see here. Sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. Sorry. I want to steel man something you just said here when you're done.
Okay. Well, then we got this descending triangle pattern here too. When we broke the resistance, rallied back, and what was support becomes resistance.
Okay, so first of all, this is perfect. Joe, great question. I'm going to tie this into my anecdote. So you had just said that a lot of people on Wall Street, believe it or not, don't use charts. I actually know that this is true. When I first started, I followed people that I thought were intelligent, logical, and non-emotional on Twitter at the time. And I built up a really good following of people that I was able to learn a lot from. One of these gentlemen, I've actually interviewed him for Benzinga. He's been involved in finance pretty much his entire adult life. He's worked on multiple Wall Street firms. And he used to tell me and other people on X that I never use charts. And he makes like eye-popping sums of money. And he got attacked. He would get attacked from people on Twitter because how can you not use a chart? How is it even possible? You're lying. And so I know that that's the case. Here's where the rubber meets the road on this. Joe is asking, Ryan, please ask Mark what these big players are actually basing their trades off of, if not the chart. For example, on gold.
Well, at least in my experience, most portfolio manager and analysts are more interested in quantitative modeling. They have their models that they put in all their parameters, and it spits out, gold should be trading at 2,000 and it's trading at 4,000, so we're going to sell. The guy across the hall could put in his parameters into his model, and it could say, well, he thinks gold is going to be worth 6,000. So that's most of what they do. And even if you're like a fundamental buy and holding, a lot of that is based on reversion to the mean too, just like trading is. If you have an industry where the average PE is 20 and they identify a stock that's in that industry that the PE is 10 and there's nothing wrong with the company, well, then they're going to assume eventually the market will recognize the value and the PE will go to 20, which means the price of the stock would have doubled. So that's really kind of what they're all doing. And there's all these kind of just myths out there about what hedge funds do and what market makers do. And people think that these funds are like omnipotent, but the average hedge fund is only in business for 5 years, believe it or not. They say it works until it doesn't. And you get these guys, like one of the funds that I worked for, there was a period where the financial stocks did really poorly. And this particular portfolio manager, he didn't ever invest in financial stocks because he just thought they were too easy to manipulate. And I don't mean in the trading, I mean in like the accounting and so forth. So because he didn't have financials, he had really good performance. Well, eventually, guess what happened? The financials led the way back, and then his performance sucked, and all the clients pulled the money out, and the place went out of business. So that happens all the time. These funds, they have clients, and the clients are generally pension plans. So it's really kind of funny when in the retail community where there's this whole little guy versus the big guy type thing. Hedge funds manage money for pension plans. Pension plans manage money for the little guy. So ultimately, these hedge funds are trading on behalf of the little guy, right? Now, the reason why I bring this up here is this is the floor in the old days. And it's hard to visualize now, but you got to think about the human element of this stuff when it's trading. The way things worked back then were these oval things, the guys in there we call specialists. And every stock on the New York Stock Exchange was assigned to a specialist. If you wanted to trade it, you had to go to that specialist. These guys out here are called floor brokers. Their booths are over here alongside the wall. That's where they hang out. So let's just say, well, this is how this would work. I'm a big shot hedge fund guy. I call Goldman Sachs and I say, hey, go buy me 100,000 XYZ. They call their floor broker. and he comes over to where XYZ is trading. Now, he's going to not come into the crowd and announce what he's going to do. He's going to try to feel him out. And let's just say the last trade was at 20, and the buyer senses, all right, there's 10 people in the crowd here. These other 9 guys are sellers. I'm the only buyer. He's not going to pay 20 because he knows that eventually one of those sellers is going to get anxious and impatient, because if they see all these other sellers around, they think the stock is just going to keep going down and down and down and down. So one guy might say, all right, I'll offer it to you 1990. The next guy's like 1980. The next guy's 1970. And it gets down to, say, 19. Now, all of a sudden, the time turns and there's 9 buyers and 1 seller. That seller's not going to sell it at 19 because he knows that eventually those buyers are going to start outbidding each other. So they might not even know what XYZ is. Then they're not going to ask their client, why are you buying this or why are you selling it? Their job is to just try to execute the trade without adversely affecting the price. And you can see how you can get these swings with no news. It's just the emotions of the people that are doing the trading, undercutting each other, outbidding each other. So now, fast forward, because unfortunately the floor doesn't exist anymore. And I think that this was a much better way to do it than we have now, because we have very fragmented markets. If I wanted to buy XYZ now, I would call Goldman Sachs and say, hey, buy me 100,000 XYZ. They would give that order to one of the market makers at their firm, someone who specializes in trading whatever industry XYZ is in. And then it's that market maker's job to get a good price for me. Now, the same thing that was going on down on the floor is going on in the electronic markets. They're undercutting each other. They're outbidding each other because they're nervous, because they're working on behalf of their clients. And trading can be very petty. If you're on the buy side of the market, which is where I spent most of my time, the buy side is the side where you have to pay a commission to get a trade executed. So a hedge fund, a retail trader, a mutual fund, these are all buy side traders. The sell side is and it's slang because both the buy side and the sell side both buy and sell. The sell side, they get paid by executing trades. They look for commissions. That's the sell side. So if I give the order to this market maker and I think he does a bad job, I might say, well, I'm not going to trade with you for another week or so. And a lot of these buy side traders, they get smoothed by all these brokers because the brokers want their business. And that's why I was able to play golf at all these great golf courses, because the brokers that are members of them like to schmooze people like me, because then they get more business. And for my side, I like to do that because you want to get to know these people that you're trading with, because at certain firms, some people could be sleazy and another person can be straight up, right? So you want to know who you're dealing with, because you're in a position where you can hurt them and they could hurt you. In other words, let's just say Goldman Sachs called me up and said, hey, Mark, we got a big buyer of XYZ here. And I say, okay, well, thanks for letting me know, but I'm not really doing anything. And then I call up another broker and say, hey, listen, man, that XYZ order I gave you to buy, start getting aggressive on it, right? Because I know there's another buyer around. So I'm using his information against him. They could do the same thing for me. I could say, well, I'm a big seller, but I'm just going to kind of wait. I'm not going to give you the order yet. Well, then they might tell someone else, hey, there's a big seller out there. So if you're selling, you better get a little more aggressive. Or if you're buying, back away. So the go-between between the buy-side traders and the market makers is a person that they call the sales trader. So if I would call Goldman, the sales trader would pick up the phone, and then he would give the order to the market maker. And it's the sales trader is kind of like the cop that is like kind of in between there, because on the one hand, they're working for their firm, but on the other hand, they have to represent their clients. And these sales traders it's a tough job. You got to have a thick skin. A lot of them are former athletes. Like this guy at Bear Stearns, I used to trade with, Todd Philcox. He played in the NFL. This firm Weekday, like half the guys there were former members of the New York Rangers. Because it's a tough role, because there's a lot of money on the line and there's a lot of fighting. You did a bad job in this trade, blah, 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 blah. I'm never going to trade with you again.
Well, I'll tell you what, if there's a lot of fighting, then those former hockey players are in P1 because they're going to whoop some ass.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And Mark, really quick, this entire thing that you're explaining, this really kind of proves an adage that I was told when I was very green in this industry. One of my friends wisely told me The market is a mechanism of moving money from the impatient to the patient. That's what it is at its core. And the way you're describing how these traders are interacting with each other really shows that that is exactly what's going on over different time frames.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Exactly. It was pretty cool when I was doing it because I did a lot of small cap and micro cap, and you had to really know people because you can't put a micro cap order into an algorithm. If you got to buy 100,000 shares of a stock that trades 5,000 shares a day, you got to find a seller. You got to
Yeah.
find, you got to have that middleman. Hey, the sales trader at Goldman. Hey, do you know if there's any sellers around on this thing? And if they can say, oh yeah, we got a seller of 100,000 shares. Well, I'm sitting there. I need to buy 100,000 shares, and I'm thinking, how the hell am I going to do this without moving the price? It only trades 5,000 a day. Well, out there in the world somewhere, there might be a trader who's got 100,000 shares to sell, and he's thinking, how the hell am I going to sell this without knocking down the price? If the sales trader can find those and put those two together, then we do what we call like a block trade.
Yep.
And everyone's happy. The sales traders get the commissions. We get the trades executed at a price that we think is okay. And everybody's happy.
I want to stop you there again, and I'm sorry for doing this, but this is extremely important because I've actually been asked a number of times just from my role here at BZ, since we have a block trade signal in Pro, I've been asked, how is it possible that a stock that's trading, on average 50,000 shares has a transaction of 1 million shares hit the tape and the price doesn't budge? And you're explaining exactly how this works.
Yeah.
So really good stuff.
Well,
I love this. I know. And you are, I call you our resident CMT here, Mark, and you are outdoing yourself yet again. So we appreciate that.
Yeah. I hear these ridiculous things like people think that market makers trigger stop orders to pick people off, which is absolutely ridiculous. I don't know where that ever came from. First of all,
frustration is where that came from. That's exactly where that's come from.
I actually spent the first 2 years of my career before I was on the buy side. I was actually a market maker, so I know how it works. Now, you really don't give a rat's ass about what the retail community is doing when you're a market maker. Your job is to execute trades on behalf of those institutional clients and get a good price. In terms of, they don't. It's very risky to put their money on on the line. Let's just say we have a stock. And I call up Goldman and I say, hey, listen, you doing anything on XYZ? And, they're going to say, well, what are you doing? And we're going to try to feel each other out or whatever. And I might say, listen, man, the last trade's at 20. Why don't you make me a market? I got something to do on 100,000 shares. Make me a market. And they could say, all right, last trade's at 20. I'll sell you 100,000 shares at 21 and I'll buy 100,000 shares from you at 19. They just made a market for me. Now, let's say I agree, okay, I'll take those 100,000 shares at 21. In this case, the market maker is probably shorting them to me. Okay, so that he's on the line. What if 5 minutes later, a client calls up and says, hey, calls Goldman Sachs and say, hey, I got 1 million shares of XYZ to buy. Be really aggressive. I don't care if you have to take it up 5 points. So now this market maker is going to be short 100,000 shares of something that he's 5 points underwater. So you don't want to commit capital. Now, in terms of this whole picking off stop order myth, maybe the Goldman Sachs market maker has access to his order book, right? And maybe they can see all the orders in Goldman Sachs, right? But he can't see what's going on in Morgan Stanley. He can't see what's going on in RBC. These places are competitors. They're not going to share their information. So to suggest that a market maker is triggering a stop order, you're basically saying they're ripping off one of their own clients because that's the only way that they could do that. So that is a myth. And that's what market makers do. It's not like it's like you go in, you have breakfast, you go to your meeting, you trade all day, 4:30 you leave, and that's kind of it, man. It's not as I don't know what the right word is.
Conspiratorial as people make it out to be. I gotcha.
Yeah, and like naked short selling, that's another one. Where I was, there is no way you could possibly sell a stock short that you don't own. I mean, it would be impossible because first of all, when you send the order over to the broker, you got to tell them it's a short sale. You have a legal obligation to do that. The broker is going to say, all right, where did you get the borrow from? Or what's the code? You'd have to put in a code that shows that you borrowed the shares, or they would see if they could find the shares. Now, if I'm selling something naked, a naked short, it's got to come out of somewhere. It's got to come out of an account, right? So
Zero sum market, got to come from somewhere.
yeah, so a client's going to call up and be like, why the hell are you guys selling a stock we don't own? What's going on over there? Because the clients every day, they're sophisticated too. Every day they're going to look at their trades, and they're going to, make sure everything is coherent and everything is kosher. And like, for an example, like the last place I was at, our biggest account was a hedge fund, and there were two clients in it. One was a church endowment, and the other one was a teacher's pension plan. Now, the church endowment didn't want to have any stocks that had anything to do with like gambling or maybe pornography or alcohol. Oddly enough, they had no problem with weapons, but if you buy, if that client sees like an alcohol stock in their account, they're going to be really mad because you violated their contract or whatever. And if they get mad enough, they could end up firing you. And when you're on the buy side, you're compared to a benchmark. And if you're behind that benchmark, they fire you and they go and they hire someone else. So it's very competitive, and academics love talking about how people can't consistently beat the market. Well, they don't understand how this really works. If the market is freaking out, let's just say you got a position in NVIDIA, and the client's freaking out, and they call you up and they say, hey, listen, man, I'm getting out of the market. Just sell my NVIDIA and give me the money. And you can say, listen, man, what are you talking about? This is a great time to buy it. You should be buying it here, not selling it. And they say, well, I don't care. I want to sell it. So send me my money. So you're forced to sell even though you don't want to, so you can raise money to send to your client. So you're at the beholding of your client. So you might think a market is really, really overbought, right? But if you get a lot of money and if your client says, hey, here's another $100 million to manage, you're doing a great job, you got to go out and buy and invest that $100,000, even though you don't think it's time to do so. All right. So you got to follow what your clients tell you to do. So anyway, hopefully that clears up a little of the mythology that goes on around there. And also the whole collusion thing. These guys that run these funds, they have really big egos. They don't collude with each other. They compete with each other. They all want to try to outdo each other. So, there's not really, I'm sure there is collusion somewhere and whatever, maybe, but most of the illegal shenanigans I see are pump and dump schemes from the retail community. They go in these chat rooms and they jack this stock up. Like, remember the infamous Roaring Kitty, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, every time that guy mentioned GameStop, it would open up huge, and by the end of the day, it would be down huge. You're telling me that he's not selling, even though he's saying to buy it? Of course he's selling it. Maybe I'm a skeptical New Yorker who's a trader, but if a guy's saying, hey, buy, and the stock goes up 50%, I think he's probably selling. There used to be this guy back in the 90s called Dan Dorfman. I think he was on CNBC. He was like the Kramer of the day. And like their days, Jim Cramer. And he could move markets. Every day he would give a recommendation and it would move the market. As it turns out, like stuff that he was recommending to buy, he was actually selling, and he got caught. And, whatever, I guess he had a great reputation, but not anymore. All right. Well, anyway, I think I got to go. I do have a 9:00 meeting I got to get ready for.
All right. Well, really quick. First, Mark, you outdid yourself here today. Putrino is on fire. Mark is dropping truth bombs everywhere here today. Barb said he's been enlightened here today. I got a graphic that pretty much describes your segment here today. You ready for this?
Yeah.
Here it is. We have a multi-like bomb being dropped on this segment here. I know this says Twitter, but no, this is for you, Mark. Really, really good stuff here today. We really appreciate it. I look forward to speaking with you next week. And like I said, our resident CMT, he's just out here getting it done. We really appreciate you, Mark. Have a great weekend.
Pleasure.
Go low if you play golf.
All right. I will see you all next week.
All right.
And if you have any questions about this stuff, just feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn.
And also subscribe to his Substack, please. He drops knowledge there all of the time. Mark, take care of yourself, okay?
Okay. All right. I'll see you guys next week. Thank you.
All right. That is Mark Putrino, everybody. Really good stuff from him. Look, this is why we do this. I know we look at charts a lot, but we're going to let Mark drop some knowledge whenever he can. That QR code in the upper right corner of the screen, that will take you to his Substack. Again, he does a lot of really good work, not just with markets, but with history too. Obviously, he's credentialed and he's an extremely bright guy. So be sure to sign up for that. Really, really good stuff here from Mark. Okay, really quickly, I don't have a tweet for you here today, so no street tweets here. That's going to be okay. We don't have 13 yet, which means, guess what? Glad I saved that last news story here on AMD. Let's take a look at this here real quick before we go through our pre-market pulse here. This one is going to be on AMD. So Advanced Micro Devices, ticker AMD, is positioning itself to challenge NVIDIA's long-standing dominance in the lucrative AI accelerator market. See, I know there's a lot of fans of AMD out there. I'd be curious what you think about this. According to a fresh analysis released by Cathie Wood's ARK Invest, internal researchers reveal that AMD's chips, quote, can already be more performant than NVIDIA chips, end quote, per dollar on select workloads, highlighting a massive shift in data center cost efficiency. ARK Invest Director of Research, AI, and Cloud, Frank Downing, highlighted that AMD is running the same playbook it previously deployed to successfully disrupt Intel, ticker INTC. After holding near zero server market share in 2017, AMD's server CPU revenue share skyrocketed by 46% by the first quarter of 2026 due to consistent power-efficient chip delivery. AMD is now utilizing this aggressive execution strategy against NVIDIA by launching Helios, a comprehensive rack-scale solution arriving in the second half of this year. ARK remains highly optimistic about Helios, pointing to high-profile customer commitments from OpenAI, Meta Platforms, ticker META, and Oracle, ticker ORCL. Additionally, the emergence of agentic AI is acting as a major tailwind for AMD's core chip business, as highly capable AI agents command significantly more traditional compute resources than early AI chatbots. CPUs are becoming increasingly critical to the evolving AI ecosystem. The intense chip rivalry unfolds as global technology capital expenditures as a percent of GDP outpaces spending from the historic tech bubble era. The top four hyperscalers alone are expected to spend over $700 billion in 2026. Looking ahead, ARK Invest forecasts that the total addressable market, or TAM, for AI systems will triple by 2030, reaching a staggering $1.5 trillion in annual sales. Although NVIDIA maintains a firm grip on the market and competitors like Google's parent Alphabet, ticker GOOG and GOOGL, and Amazon, ticker AMZN, they actively pursue custom in-house hardware projects. And the ARK concludes that AMD is primed for growth. Armed with strong chip architectures and a proven design team, AMD is expected to, quote, capture a reasonable share of the future AI compute TAM, end quote, from its current baseline. So for those of you that are AMD bulls, let me know what you think. I know we've had a couple of lofty price targets out there, and I think we might hit some of those, 700, 800. Let me know what you think on AMD. All right, let's get back to Pro. Let's start our pre-market pulse and see how things are today. All right, 13, welcome back. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. Just ready for the weekend. How's everybody out there? Ready for the weekend as much as I am?
Yeah, I know I am. I was talking with the producer before we went live here today. He is too. I think we all are. It's been a long week.
Slow week.
Well, maybe it's been a long week because it's felt slow, but also because we had 2 weeks previously that were only 4 days, and this week was a 5-day week. Maybe that's playing into it. But where do you want to start here?
Well, I was looking at the movers, and the one that's on the top, I started looking into it, and then I realized this seems like there's some kind of mistake here with the print. It wasn't zero when it closed yesterday. So I don't know what's going on with HSAI, but I started looking at that until I realized that there was some kind of error with it and moved on. So started with GMM.
Oh, no problem. I actually don't even have that on here, so one of my filters is getting rid of that. But nonetheless, all good. Really quickly, I saw that Lion came in, had some angry words about Elon Musk, and then left. Lion, if you're still out there, let me know if you're all right. I know you're probably a bit sad about
I know.
Morocco last night.
Yeah.
So we'll give him some space. Enjoy the beach today. All right, GMM. We actually had a request to look at this 13. I'm going to make this really easy. This is a 50 for 1 reverse. That's what's going on here. That's why it's trading higher. This is a China name. Short interest on this name here, 22.87%. Now that might be a little off because of the split. We'll see, but there is some short interest in here. Float. I've got a reading here of 1.78 million now, and I have it trading 80 million shares today. What do you think here on GMM, boss?
Well, the reverse split that happened in June certainly allowed for the float to be more, manageable and get pushed around. But I don't think that's why it's moving here today. Yesterday, I don't have any news on what's going on with this. We don't have any news since June, so I'm not exactly sure what the reason for this move is. But to the point about the low float, just shy of 1.8 million shares. In the float, very easy to move around. There's also some elevated short interest. I've got a read of, and it may just be the result of the reverse split, but 22.87% of the float shorted, up from 7%, seemingly prior to the split. So it looks like it was rising one way or the other. The company does have revenue, and it has little cash, and it teeters between profitability and unprofitability. But as far as the chart goes, we did have a move up already. So let me just go back here to the 5 minute. Currently running into resistance around the 650 area. You could draw a trend line on the top side of that movement and kind of give you a target if we hold above the mid $5 area, like around 530 to 550. We have VWAP down at 469. If we somehow go down there and find support, then there's still a possibility we go higher than 650. But I would think that there's a lot more weakness ahead if we start moving towards the VWAP beneath that 530 area.
Okay, good stuff there on GMM. This is restricted on Schwab, by the way.
No surprise.
No surprise there. You're absolutely right. I think Derek earlier had said that Fidelity didn't allow any Chinese stocks. But okay, good stuff there. GMM making a big move here so far. We'll see what it does here today. Did you have anything else on your list?
I looked at HAO. This one might get going here. It also has some resistance levels. It's actually getting through one of them right now, the VWAP. And then the next one I have is 170. This could go back up to 120. There's a bit of a trend line that might cause the price to run into resistance around $2 if it can get over this 170 area. But that's just on the chart. Didn't see any news with this one either. The company does have revenue. It has some cash. It's not profitable. It's got 1.9 million shares in the float. VWAP and $2 resistance. And then after that, you have 220. That's really all I've got on that one.
Okay, good stuff there. HAO. Well, I mean, good stuff given that there's not a whole lot going on here. Short interest about 8%. Can't remember if you mentioned that, but that's what's in there versus float of 1.9.
Eric was bringing up JLHL, that name that was providing some moves yesterday. Certainly that one did end up putting a move in later on. He's saying that it spiked up to 30 in the after hours. That it was certainly given a rise into the close there. This could still come all the way back in, or it could continue to rip higher. This could be the next S dot. Just understand what you're trading here, and be sure you protect yourself if you are going to take a stab at this. I think it's very, very risky.
It could also be something like this. VRAX, which we talked about yesterday, made a huge move here. Jay, good morning. Good to see you. Jay saying, VRAX, this is why I don't trade garbage. That's a very, very clear point. This looks from the chart as if it's kind of going sideways. Nope, actually, it's down 19+%. So GG, no read. Okay, next one here on the list. This is ELAB. I actually kind of covered this a little bit in the rundown here. This is PMGC Holdings. Shares are trading higher after the company announced its subsidiary Northstrive Biosciences announces plans to initiate an independent flow cytometry analysis program for further characterization of EL22. Okay. This thing spiked to about 140. I actually have a little bit of a trend line. I'm just kind of eyeballing here, 13. I'm going to cut one of those wicks down just because I'm feeling spicy today on a Friday. And then I'm going to draw one of these underside trend lines here. We'll see which area we break out of on this. Quick peek at the short interest on this name. 13.23% of the float is shorted. 1 day to cover, so it's elevated, but it's not high, not crazy. This is a float of 4.5 million. I know this wasn't necessarily on your list, but do you have anything here on ELAB?
The news I'd have to spend some time looking into, so I have a better understanding of that. But let's look at the financials here. So very little revenue, loses money, has some cash. Looks like they have enough of a cash runway that they wouldn't need to do a capital raise, today or soon. But they will have to eventually. This is does look like it's a kind of biotech company, even though it says personal products. Seems like they're still, involved in studies. I don't have anything really to
Yeah, that's okay.
Business, but that trend line, I think that trend line would certainly be watching for. Still got to get out of this sideways price action that we've been in for a good portion of the morning. That gives us a breakout area of about 130 and a breakdown area of about 125. So we're just in this 5-cent range until one way or the other is chosen.
Okay, good stuff there on ELAB. One of the other movers here that I wanted to take a peek at here was Lucy. I saw several folks in the chat talking about that spiking. It's actually given it back. Someone said they added Claude to their glasses. Innovative Eyewear announces new Claude AI integration for all Lucid smart eyewear, starting next week for all Lucid models. Here we go. Some key features of this update. Chat with the best of OpenAI and Claude from a single screen. Understands your images and your documents. It can generate AI images for you. It has conversation history, rich content rendering, displays code with syntax highlighting, answers with sources. Okay, so they're having a Claude integration here. It looks like it did pop it initially, but boy, that got sold into.
Yeah, and this also ended up on Meta's newsfeed because this is a competitor to their Meta glasses.
Okay, that's what's going on with Lucy. And then we actually have some news here on Circle. Eric, I know that you were asking about this. Here's what's going on here. First of all, this is what the chart looks like. This stock closed at $63 yesterday, almost printed 74 here today. Circle Internet Group shares are trading higher after the company announced that the U.S. Comptroller of Currency approved the application to open a national trust bank. Coinbase also trading up on the back of this news. I actually need to go through this a little bit more and think about it. Eric, I'm sorry, I don't have a knee-jerk reaction to you. I would guess that this is definitely one of the big steps forward. I know we're still waiting on the Clarity Act, still some confusion about that. But I would imagine that this is another step in the right direction here for Circle. And let me take a quick look at Coinbase, see if that's holding. Yeah, that's still holding higher here too. So Circle and Coin responding positively to this news here. 13, I know this wasn't necessarily something that you prepared for, and you probably, like me, want to go through the PR and understand it a little bit better before you offer an opinion. But can I get you to talk about the chart at all?
Sure. I'm just kind of wondering, what I would want to know how this kind of ties back into the Clarity Act, because I think that's, something that is that's going to affect this. They're talking about a national digital currency bank. It kind of goes hand in hand. Mm-hmm. So that's what I would be more interested in is, how is the Clarity Act going to move this forward or hamstring or what have you? So that would be something I'd be interested in learning about. But to your, Lucy's spiking again. To your question about the chart, let me just pull this up here. On a daily chart, looks like may have found a bottom or tried to. We did get a gap fill back from February. That's completed. So maybe after this gap fill, we're just turning around and we're trying to recapture the 20-day SMA off this news. I don't know if this is going to be the thing that causes it to completely recover, but if we do get back over the 20-day SMA, we have this sideways consolidation area from about 78 to 87. A little bit of consolidation in there that we'd have to get through next. So that's where I think the next resistance is, somewhere in that 80 handle.
Okay. All right. Good stuff there on Circle. All right, 13. What do you want to cover next? This is really up to you.
Really? It's up to me?
I know. You hate making decisions. I try to do it every morning. Today is finally the day we break through. You are going to make a decision. What stock do we look at here?
Oh, God. I don't even know, because there's nothing that's really interesting to me until next week.
We'll rely on Jay then. Jay says shop. Got an
Shop,
upgrade
let's go.
today. So here's what the shop chart looks like. Let me see what the actual upgrade was. Up 2.3%. All right. Stiefel upgrade shop to buy and raises the price target to 150. So that's a good 24 points away from where we're at now. 200 days at 135. This to me looks like 120. Yeah, what's 125? That if we break out there, we might go on a little bit of a run here, especially with this being kind of a good catalyst in the back of it. Stock traded up 3.3% here today, up 2.3% here this morning. Sorry, I think I said that wrong. 3.3% yesterday, up another 2.3% here today. You got any thoughts on this chart?
I don't think I'd be surprised if we did get this move up towards the 200-day SMA. And once we got there, the price might be extended at that point. I could see a scenario where we do get rejected by the 200, and then the next visit up there, we break through it. That's something I could see happening. There's several levels on the way up to that price target you mentioned. I think that price target also kind of includes a gap fill back from January. I forgot what you said. It was like 150 at something, I believe. But that would be, the 200-day SMA, I think is going to be the largest area of resistance that you're going to have, because the price wasn't even getting up to that moving average before it was getting rejected back in March and April. So I think that resistance area coexisting with the 200-day SMA really does set up for a stiff resistance area that I think on the first visit may not break through. Could if there's enough volume or news, but let's say it doesn't. The next visit up, if it does get support from like 120 on the way back down, I think it could feature a breakout next.
Okay, good stuff there on shop. Kathy adding, it seems like most stocks in the same industry as shop are up as well, so maybe we get a little bit of continuation here. Bhavesh said, take my question then. What question? You made a statement that said it has good liquidity, ATR momentum beyond everything. I'm consistently making good profit through a strategy. I have no idea what you're talking about, what stock, industry, sector, or anything. Going to need some more context there, buddy. Richard wants to take a look at Dow. We can absolutely do that. Delta reported earnings here this morning, trading down by about 1%, but I believe those are up off the lows. Yeah, indeed. This was definitely lower earlier. Actually, about flat here today. So we can take a look here at Delta. Let me actually read the earnings here for you. We do have the conference call scheduled for about 43 minutes from now, it sounds like, at least per Benzinga Pro here. Delta Airlines reports Q2 adjusted EPS 156 beat the 147 estimate. Sales of 19.75 billion beat the estimate of 17.53 billion. And it looks like their guide was 650 to 750 versus 593 estimates. So that is a guide higher here. Beat, raise on Delta here, down 0.3%, holding the 20. What do you think?
That intraday chart, I liked it a little bit less, but I'm not saying that this couldn't this come back up and see this over 100 soon. That is a really good earnings report result, and their guidance well above the estimates. I think I don't have a great opinion until we actually open and get a better look at the price action, because so far since the earnings, all that we've done is pretty much go about the equal amount in both directions before kind of just going back to where we were before the print. So to me, that doesn't really say anything. It just says there were some buyers and sellers, and we're just back to where we started. I want to see what happens at the open. If this starts to come back up, we're going to want to see a break of 92. That's what I think I'd be looking for next.
Okay. All right, let me look through the chat here. Mets, you mean Meta. We can take a very quick peek at Meta. This is a 200-day reminder here. Meta, FYI, 200-day is at 643. I actually have it at 644, but yeah, you're bringing up a good point nonetheless, because we would really want it to hold this area. Now that we've really popped above this area, we would really want to hold this, right? 656 is your current price here on Meta in the pre-market, 380 up 3.84%. Yeah, this would be good. Next spot would be our trend line, right? This is we actually talked about this earlier this week, if I'm not mistaken. Do you have anything else on Meta 13?
So we're over just that trend line, like you said.
There's not much here.
Well, I think I would want to see how this day ends. It could fall right back beneath the 200-day SMA. This is a resistance moving average, but there has been some print above it for more than one day. So I want to see if it will hold. We might see the price rise to like 685, 690 before it comes back in. Yeah, I would just want to see what ends up happening here. If this move over the 200-day SMA, this gap up actually holds. We could even see a gap fill before it continues higher. So okay. This is all on a price. This is all on a new price target, right? A new upgrade.
Yeah, Citizens it's a price target change, like you initially said there. Citizens maintains outperform, lowers price target to 800.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, okay, that's what's causing this movement here, this 4% movement. All right, we'll see if it sticks.
Jay says, me think SK Hynix going to cause some selling in semis, just like SpaceX did. I think you're exactly right. I think watch out for Micron today. I think that probably sells on this. We'll see though. And Jay also asked, Ryan, you've been oiling your golf clubs, and that is a reference to WD-40, which reported earnings here and just popped higher. Jay, I do not. I don't know if you're joking, if there's actually some merit to doing that or anything like that. No, of course I don't. One thing to keep in mind here in WDC, look at the area that it popped into. Right here. We are definitely at a resistance area. If we can break that, maybe 300s coming here. 13, you want to break this chart while I step away for a minute?
Sure. So I'm on a monthly chart. I'm just looking at some of these, going off some of these highs here. And if we use the high back from January of 2021 and take it through the high of November of 2024, that gives us a trend line that we are breaking today. So what do we want to see happen next? We want to see this price hold this trend line and back test it as support. Don't know exactly how high this is going to go before we get that move back down towards the trend line. It may be that it needs to get past the high from 2024, which was 292.36. That's going to be about where the consolidation area is from 2021. So those resistance areas that it previously had, that's what I'd be looking for as resistance. That's going to take us back to the trend line. Now, maybe this continues to go higher. What's the float on this? 9.6 million. So it's not a large float. It could get pushed around, pushed higher. So I would kind of say that's still a possibility. But I want to see this move a little bit beyond the trend line, and I want to see it hold the trend line if I'm looking for higher prints. And I don't know if I'll get all of that today, but I think I want to at least see the trend line hold. WD-40 is a solvent. It's a penetrator. It's the WD-40 company. It's funny how it's like this one company that has the one product, and it's just doing this great. But it's an
amazing product.
It is an amazing product.
It's an amazing product. Used it 1,000,000 times for 1,000,000 different things. All right, 7 minutes until we open. What's next here?
Next is just having a good weekend. This week has been such a dog.
What's having next? Oh, next is having a good weekend because the week has been. Yeah, I gotcha. I hear you clucking, big chicken. All right. You should use oil to help maintain the metal grooves. It makes a difference on ball rotation after contact. Oh, you learn something every day here, folks. Learn something every day. Okay. Anything 13? Any stocks you want to take a look at?
Nope. Just I don't know what's going to be great this morning. It seems like there's, seeing how we've had, a decline in market volume all week this week. Now we're seeing sub 37 million shares traded in the SPY. This seems like the entire market's checked out until earnings season. So I'm just kind of waiting for this to open and see what starts going, and maybe there's a trade there. Maybe JLHL provides some more of a trade. I really don't know what I would lean on right now.
Okay. Let freedom ring. Let's go. Thoughts on USAR? This is really there. I mean, like I think there's probably going to be another move in some of these mineral names. This just kind of seems like dead money right now. It doesn't really seem like it's doing a whole lot of anything. Maybe we should ask Anne-Marie if an iron condor would make sense here.
Well, it did lose the $20 support area and the 200-day SMA. So now that's going to be resistance. If we do get a move back up here to back test that, then I would think resistance is going to continue to kick in. I think when we start to your point about how this could come back, as we do know that the trade issues that we're having between China on rare earths and a number of other things still not resolved. And I think there's supposed to be, I want to say that they may have changed that date, but I think there's still a 1 year expiration of that trade truce that ends in October. I'll have to double check that, because if that's still the case, then we could see these mineral plays come back, because I don't think that's necessarily resolved, and it's gonna be an ugly fight between us and China to get that trade dispute resolved.
Lance here saying, are there any clothes hanger companies? We use them every day. My goal in life is to invent a better hanger. Yo, have you tried those hangers that they sell in a 50-pack at Costco that have like a velvet or a felt material so the shirt doesn't slip off of it? Because those are awesome, and that was a hell of an improvement. All jokes aside, I have no idea if there's a clothes hanger company, and I'm curious to know what would make one better for you. I think that's an interesting.
The economic truce, the year-long economic truce, runs until, I'm sorry, I said October, it's November 10th. So toward the end of this year in Q4, we could see the return of some of these mineral names as that truce is going to expire, and there's going to be this back and forth again. I expect that critical minerals will be back on the table for that.
Okay. All right. So Greg is saying thoughts on Rivian. Well, we've talked about Rivian the last couple of days here. This stock actually makes for a pretty good back and forth trader, it turns out. I think we talked about 1850 really kind of being a level that it needs to get through here. We're basically right at that level now. We went as high as 20. They did an offering, slammed it back down to the trend line, 50-day moving average. Now it's bouncing back up. So I would watch this 18 to 1850 level pretty much right there. If we crack it, you might actually see 20.
It's been sideways. Go ahead, sorry. It's just been sideways for so long. Don't know if we're going to actually see that breakout yet. The highest print we've had in recent, in the past year was from December when it got up to 22 in the 2250s. So if we do manage to get that high, that's going to be a resistance area, and beyond that, there's a bit of a gap fill that takes you up into the $23 area. But this company, it still loses a ton of money.
Yep, it sure does. And that's a good reminder here. And Brian is saying, I've been short Rivian for months. I have no faith.
Yeah, I have a real hard time with this one too, until they can demonstrate that they can be consistently profitable. This company loses way too much money for me.
Jay, another opinion there. It's impressive that it absorbed the secondary well. Okay. All right. And then Market Sniper, you bought some of those hangers. You know what I'm talking about. I too like the thinness of them. I think they're a great hanger. All right. Let's see. We are less than 2 minutes till we open here. The noob wants to take a look at Chipotle. The story here is still the 200-day. Unless someone else has another story, we think here, Chipotle, it's a 200-day. We actually did recapture this trend line fairly quickly. And then we pushed through some other moving averages, but man, rejected at the 200. Really need to get that above the 200-day. 35.5 is where that value is at the moment.
Yeah, 200-day SMA for me. Oh yeah, Billy, you're bringing up JZXN. That's not the one that was moving yesterday. Let's take a look at that. It sounds like another China name though.
Okay, let me go to the main workspace. Let me get that. Or JZXN. Thank you.
Yeah, and it is up almost 40%. This it's got news, but it's moving. It's spiking around a lot. Let's see. It plans to strike agreement with a firm specializing in AI intelligent imaging data platform technologies to collaborate over AI-enabled intelligent imaging data processing platform deployment, commercial scenario implementation. So this is moving on a plan, folks. This is moving on a plan to strike an agreement. Not that they struck an agreement. This is on a plan.
At least you know what the next catalyst is.
Yeah, which will be a sell the news event.
That's right.
All right, here we go.
We're open.
Yes, exactly.
We're open.
Intend, plan, exactly. Certainly, it could make a move, but I don't think it'll hold. Now, GMM starting to move up out of the gate here. Then it pulled a little bit. Let's see what we'll have to wait and see what ends up happening with that. VWAP is down at 475. What else is going on here?
Tesla put sweeps out of the open and call sweeps. Never mind. The puts came first, then the calls came right after it. Market here, first initial push is up, but we are outside the primary trade windows for a 0 DTE trade.
So far, lots of things that were trading up this morning into the open are selling.
SpaceX just lost 150, so that was actually above 150 here in the pre-market, but just coughed it up straight down out of the open. Would watch this pre-market low down here, 149 even.
JZXN, it looks like it's planning to go over 190.
That was good there too.
HAO, that's trying to get over VWAP out of the gate here.
Meta straight up out of the gate looks like 665 coming. WD40, the solvent, up right out of the gate, 296 now. WD40. Okay, so the one thing I will say here about WD40, that's WDFC, by the way, is the name of the ticker. Sorry, I should probably call it that. Here's what we got, Foreman. Back out on the daily. What do you see?
EKS mentioning Hive.
Okay, I'll answer my own question. You see an island here. So I would watch this candle, see where it finishes, and see if we get a nice little floating island. It also does align with this high from 2024. So watch and see if this holds here. WDC, interesting move on a good earnings print. All right, sorry, 13, what do you got?
I don't even know what I was. I'm looking at Meta now, so I don't remember what you were asking me. Sorry. Don't know what I said because I moved on.
Okay. All I was asking was about the WDC chart, but
you were. I wasn't even looking at that.
You do what you need to do. Shop out of the gate.
I mean, yeah, WDFC. It's I just waiting for it to do the things I was saying it could do.
Yeah, no, it had a floating island set up. I was trying to set you up, but you had already moved on. That's it.
Oh.
We're past it. Don't worry about it. We're past it.
Again, a lot of these names that were trading up in the morning are just getting absolutely hammered. Lots of the quantums, the space names.
Netflix is down. Apple did. So remember, what was, I forgot who said it. Oh, it was Acorns. Acorns said Apple is going to pop and then drop and then pop again. So it's in its drop phase right now. It's at the pre-market lows. We're expecting a pop back to the highs. Acorns, let me know.
Those memory names. So we got that
good idea.
Support from the 50 that took us up to the 20, rejected at the 20. We're headed back down towards the 50. Micron's already doing that, trying to, it looks like it may have filled the gap or opened to fill the gap. Now we're going to fill it to the upside. I still think that we see a lot of money pulled out of these when that SK Hynix stock starts trading.
And it's not trading now, by the way.
Mm-hmm. So this one, SNDK, looks like we're already starting to get, some may have already pulled some money out, but I get the sense that once that starts trading, that these will probably rotate lower. It's possible. It's also possible they could just move in sympathy with SK Hynix, but I think that you'd see some rotation out of these memory names that have run.
I think you're probably right about that. Anyone know when it will trade? No, Nathaniel, we do not know that. We'll watch that, especially while we're on air here. I know that's probably going to be the biggest event of the day.
Yeah, typically we've seen new issues trade like around 1 p.m. Sometimes as early as like 10 or 11, but I don't think we'll see it at 10 or 11. I think it could be one of those things that ends up trading in the early afternoon.
Yeah, I think you're right. Right around lunchtime, early afternoon. That's where I bet 213. Meta's still straight up out of the gate here now, 672.
NFLX getting mentioned. This is still being rejected by the 20-day SMA.
You heard they want to get into live TV, almost like they want to fix their content problem. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, 13.
Well, we have been talking recently about how there could be a theme here with, live TV live events and broadcast TV. So this would be on the broadcast side, but then there'd also be the live events. So the shows that some of these would be, the live shows that some of these would be picking up or be streaming off their platforms. It's a theme that we could start to see. I don't have a list together for it, but it's something we just started talking about in happy hour. So we're working through it, but it could be one of those things that ends up working out later on. But for now, Netflix still looks like we are heading lower.
Yeah. Yep. I think we're thinking at least a 70 test. Stock's currently at 74. So even if it doesn't break to a new low, I think we're still expecting a 70 test. eLab is going. Let's take a look. Indeed. Okay, so we are at the pre-market and after hours highs. Interesting spot here at 140 on eLab.
Broke the. Oh, you don't have the trend line. Broke the trend line.
Not on this one, but here I did on the other one, 13. Sorry, let me add that here real quick. This is how I eyeballed it. I don't know if you expected maybe a different point. Okay, yep. Perfect.
So 144, 145, still the resistance area. I can see that there's a seller stacked right there at 145. So it's got to deal with a couple of other sellers here at the 140s, but the largest amount of the largest seller is stacked at 145 there. So going to need to see some bigger volume than this in order to get through that seller. I would think that with this move through the VWAP and that the supply above where the price is, I could see the price coming back into back test this trend line. And if we get that, that might be the time to pick this up for the next move up.
Here's your 140 test. We'll see. I don't see a whole lot of volume trying to get taken there. It does kind of feel like they're trying to take 140, but to your point about the sellers stacked up there, I'm not sure they have the strength to take that out yet.
HAO, one of the junker names we were talking about. That's printing higher, looking for that. I think it's looking for about 205 next, and then that trend line that we talked about.
Now the trend line connects the two high peaks in the pre-market?
Yes.
Gotcha. Bang. Microsoft, Meta, NVIDIA calls all slapping the wire right now. MSTR calls, Micron calls, more Tesla calls.
So a lot of is just a lot of Mag 7 getting attention.
Yeah, it looked like it, at least via the calls there. JPM puts, 340 puts. Now that's ahead of the earnings next week. Let's see if there's anything in here. So those are near the money or at the money puts there for. Oh, those are just for today though. Never mind. That has nothing to do with earnings. Those expired today.
Anything on SPY? Asked Nikhil. And Jay Rice is saying IGV red to green yesterday, acting better.
So real quick, Nikhil, SPY ran out of the gate. And remember, that first 5 minutes is not the trade window. So although we are in trade one window right now, it ran straight up out of the gate. And as a result, ran away from some of those key lines and did not generate any signals.
SNK is providing some trades here.
Oh, yeah. SpaceX continuing to hit the lows there. Actually, SpaceX below the pre-market lows now. Maybe that is an SNK mover to the upside here, even more.
So they are supposed to do their static fire test today. Let's see if that ended up happening yet. Let me just check and see if there was any updates this morning. I was watching it getting rolled out yesterday to the pad.
Real quickly here on ELAB, we are actually in a bearish fair value gap. The fair value gap ends exactly at 141. So this 140, 141 area is going to be key here. Short fair value gap area. I don't have it drawn on the chart, but my indicator plotted it for me. You guys are saying Hood and Moderna are trading down. Let's take a look at those real quick. Here's Hood. This is, it's down, but it's down just less than 1%. I guess it did give up its pre-market gains, though, in this pullback.
Let me see. I had some notes yesterday on Hood. Trump accounts helped the price action of the stock. The price is approaching the Barclays recent price target of 122. So that's not too far away. And we're in this consolidation area back from last year going into this year. So could be some back and forth while it works through 120. Hasn't broken down yet, but support's going to be, looks like support's going to be that 200-day SMA in that 20, right in there, around 103, 102.
Brian, a call to the community. Whoever sees SKHY, which is SK Hynix, available on TOS first, please help a guy out. SPY did pull back, coming back into the VWAP and the 9 EMA. So Nikhil, we'll see if this holds here and reverses. We might get a signal since we're in the window. I will let you know if I see it. I will let you know.
Saw that somebody was saying that Moderna is down. Does that have any impact on, or is that being impacted by FDA's new rule? I haven't read into this yet, but they apparently just recently posted something about their proposal for a new rule to modernize drug manufacturing.
I don't see any fresh news. The last piece of news was them confirming their financial results for Friday, July 31st. So I'm not sure. You might be right about that, 13. I just don't know. Moderna down 7%. This thing's been on a huge run recently, so a little bit of a pullback here doesn't really shake me.
Oh, look, BJM's acknowledging your land
my lordship
title.
Yeah,
yes.
My lordship, my actual lord title. I appreciate you, Brian. Brian's a good guy.
ELAB just taken off now. It's blown past the highs.
Yeah.
That's what we need. We need to see that that volume to get to that seller. So there it is. 151 now was the high coming back in. If this does come back into the trend line, we're going to want to see support there. Maybe a little bit earlier around the 135 to 140 area.
By the way, Moderna, your leading laggard in the S&P. As far as ELAB goes here, we were exactly right about the 140 spot.
Yep. Congratulations if you took that.
Yeah, you know what? Register. You're right. You're right, 13. Congratulations. Register rings around for anyone not on ELAB.
And that seems like one of the only ones that's really put in a trade so far this morning.
GMM still coming in a little bit. How not really doing a whole lot. We're not even going for that trend line yet. Unity on the scanner here today, up 7%. Actually, this is a good move for Unity.
Looks like it's setting up to go higher.
Unity will report their earnings August 6th. Nice little move here today. Let's see how Circle's doing. Okay, Circle's coming back in. Let me see if we have a fair value gap on Circle that we can target here. Nope. Only fair value gap is no longer unmitigated, so I got nothing for you on that. Go ahead, 13.
Izzy is asking RX down on AI competition. I couldn't say, but I can see that yesterday there was an insider sell. Don't know if that's impacting it or not. This company, the stock is pretty heavily shorted, so it seems like there's a lot of people that want this lower, but this could also set up for a short squeeze. It's got all the right parameters for it. Let's see here. On a daily chart, it looks like we're coming down to the 20-day SMA after a rejection of the 200. So I would say that right around that area of 335, which is just beneath the 20-day SMA, but right where the 50-day SMA is, that's the support I'd be watching for. I don't know that this is down on the AI competition. I don't see any recent news other than that insider sell. So to answer your question, I don't know if this is related to the AI. I think it's more related to just the insider selling.
Gotcha. Still seeing a lot of calls here. Baba, Meta, Nvidia, Now, Tesla, AMD, all a lot of call buying here this morning, folks. Oh, and actually, I took my eyes off SPY too long there. We did, in fact, get a bounce on SPY that triggered a buy signal, but we've already triggered 3 trim signals into the move higher here. So this is not a opportune time to go after that. Should have added lower. Looks like 135, 134 was probably the add there on the 752 0 DTE call, but not in it.
I was asked to look at NVVE. This just did a 1 for 18 back on July 6th, and now they are buying BSS Sibiu SRL, which is a developer of 42 megawatt battery storage in Romania. So this is having a nice move here, and it's going to probably, so you just had this reverse split. That's resulted in a very, very small float of 520,000 shares. So this is kind of interesting, and I think we want to keep an eye on this one in case it goes on a run following that reverse split. Now that the float's very low, if there's enough eyes on this, this could end up getting a similar situation like with SDOT or that other junker that was moving this morning, where you get these low floats and you have enough eyes on them, and they just take this thing for a ride.
Yeah. And actually, you know what, 13? Registering for NVVE, this nice little pre-market yesterday high takeout on volume here sent this thing. So I'm not on this, didn't trade it, but if you did, good stuff there.
And this is getting pretty extended on the daily, but I still see that it could be, it could print higher. I would think that somewhere around 15 is where you're going to see a lot of resistance. So if we do end up seeing the price move up to that level, watch for some resistance around the 15 handle.
Circle still coming in here, right around 68 as we speak.
And also,
market is continuing to try and bounce here. I've got an all-out sell signal now on this move higher here from that previous buy. No position though. Again, I didn't trade it.
Yeah, and VVE is also to the upside, by the way.
1237. Let me get you the timestamp. 13. NVVE halt 9. No. That was the first one, right? Yeah. Sorry. Hang on a sec here. Hang on a tick here. Trading halt 941.23. So we're expecting a 946.23 resumption.
So that could happen really soon here. Yeah. So resistance next level looks like it's at 15. Let's say we get through that. Where's the next level's at? I could see $18 as the next resistance level. Looks like you might also have 20 in there, and guess we can also add 23.30, but let's focus on the earlier one, the $18 one. That's if we can even get past $15 once we get out of this halt.
Okay.
All right, so ELAB hit 156. That came back in. It's come down close to my view. Hasn't hit it yet.
NVIDIA trading up towards 206. That actually was a resistance area yesterday in the morning. So we'll see if that can get taken out. Seeing a lot of call buying on NVIDIA this morning. Breath is good for everything but the Russell. And I take a look around the landscape here, and small caps are pounded.
Yeah, 115, Lucy, Mo, I see that pop there. Still having a time with 115. That was the rejection area just minutes before the market opened. Now we're pushing through it. The next resistance area is going to be looks like it's like 120. Really big resistance at 130, where it was topping out in the pre-market.
Here's your Lucy chart here. This is trying to go.
Mm-hmm. We are still waiting for NVVE to unhalt.
ALAB calls going off.
Looks like GMM is trying to get going here. Trying to get through those moving averages. Those EMAs, the 9 and the 15. Lots of sellers in the way above that price. Looks like some of that selling in the space names may be coming into an end. We'll see if that ends up turning around.
So that's SpaceX that you just mentioned, right?
Space names.
Oh, space names. Sorry, because SpaceX is actually trying to bounce right from 149.
Yeah. I'm seeing a lot of them just kind of try and turn around at the same time here. So it's like a broader sector that's trying to reverse here.
SPY is testing the day high. You're absolutely right about that. That value 753.22. SPY trading up towards that now.
Calm EKS saying Calmain is up 2.5%.
That's our egg guy. This appears on a lot of Tim Melvin scans regularly, by the way. Nvidia still more call buying.
500-day SMA is up at 89.18. I would say that for Calmain, that's going to be a resistance area. You're also pretty extended on the daily, so I could see the price for CALM start to come back in, once we've gotten closer to 90. Still waiting for NVBE to unhalt.
Yeah, I don't see it either.
ELAB still holding above 140. Yeah, it's like I was saying, it's just not a lot of participation, not a lot of volume. It's just everybody's waiting for the earnings season.
Yeah,
this week's has been completely written off to me.
Yeah, and how are some of these fins doing? Let's check. JP Morgan higher by 0.5%. Let's take a look at Goldman Sachs and then the XLF. Goldman Sachs.
ETS mentioning that it's HPE is continuing its multi-day run. I think it's also moving in sympathy with or the news that Dell got. Dell, kind of flat this morning, but HPE was, it seemed like it hasn't caught up to where Dell got to yet. So it's up at HPE is up at a resistance area. We could get a rejection here around 50-50, but it's above the 20-day SMA now, so we could still see some higher prints. Like
Zero Hedge
60.
Sorry, Zero Hedge tweet right now. SK Hynix indicated to rise 21% after $26.5 billion ADR offering.
And VBE is open. Thanks.
There it is
for that mention. Print Biscuit. 1443 was the high, and we turned around. So not exactly 15, close, but not there. Now we could see this gap that it was created from that unhalt filled. That should take it down, the price down to 1240 if that's the case. And then what happens there, we'll see.
Circle looks like it's bouncing right here, so maybe we're finally getting a curl after the pullback from the open on Circle. Here's what it looks like. See if we can recapture 68.92 or just call it 69 if you want.
Looks like Lucy's trying to push higher. NVBE still hasn't filled that gap, trying to push higher as well. 15 is still the resistance.
JZXN halt to the upside. Good mention there. Market Sniper, Trout Bomb. Looks like you guys are on this one. Market's still grinding higher here. Boy, there was one decent buy on there, and I was late on it. Webcoin, don't think you're going to escape. I saw you suggest we take a look at Mullen earlier. I did what was required and ignored it, but I understand you were joking.
Oh yeah, JZXN halted to the upside. Let's take a look at levels for this one. So we came up to some of those or near that resistance area that it's been coming up to all year and getting rejected at. So I don't know if this is going to be the day where that changes, but if it doesn't, then we're 280 is the spot where we're turning around. NVVE still trying to decide if it's going to go higher or fill the gap to the downside. Lucy trying to push higher. It's over 115, looking for 120 now.
That circle bounce already evaporated. Lower we go.
ELAB giving it back beneath the VWAP now and the trend line. SNK looks like that might be ready to print higher.
Yeah, SpaceX actually looks like it might snap. It's actually through 149 to the downside, but it looks like it might break the day low. Zach saying drones are being shot down bad. Indeed, we mentioned earlier, it looks like all of the small cap names really getting hit. Russell Breath is terrible. Q's Breath actually just flipped to red too, so maybe we do get a sell off ahead of the weekend. Yeah, Mullen is Binny now.
Toss it in the Binny.
Trash Binny.
Mm-hmm. My God, I gotta just look for my own amusement real quick here. Okay, there it is. Wow. Wow. You want to have a laugh? Just go to Binny and hit splits and just let your eyeballs melt.
I don't need to melt my eyeballs this early, 13. But I appreciate it. And I appreciate you taking one for the team.
Oh, it's no trouble for me. I'm laughing.
Let's check in on TTD and see how TTD is doing.
Okay, so NVV, yeah, while you look at that, NVVE 1450, the high now.
Zach. There's Binny, but there's Binnies. BINNYS. Anyone from the Chicagoland region knows what you're talking about. Hat tip to you again, by the way, Zach. Meta calls, lots of them. And these are for August and also for today.
Looks like
Meta's still up near the highs.
Yeah, Lucy's still trying to push higher. Lots of supply to get through. It's going to need some better volume than this if we're going to see higher prints.
Yeah, Boyle is the craziest for splits. You're right about that, Anne-Marie. We used to talk about Boyle in particular, natural gas really, but Boyle especially being the widowmaker. You might be able to buy that for 30 and sell it at 150 a day or two later. You might also buy it at 60 and have to sell it at 20 a day or two later. And like you were saying, it decays and reverse splits there. That's a tough one. Benny's Beverage Depot, you got it. Yep, Ondas getting grounded here. Moving with the rest of the drone theme as well as the small caps, though. In fact, IWM or the Russell continues to get worse on the breath there. It looks like they're selling small caps today.
And VVE having trouble. Just got some support from the VWAP.
Where's Acorns at? I wish he was still here. Acorns talked about Apple going down and then popping back up. Look at the chart. That's what we're doing. Bob, we have not covered, Kath.
United Arab Emirates, EM%. I don't know how this is supposed to be pronounced, but they cashed out of Vodafone for almost $6 billion. That's something that Kathy was just mentioning here. So we haven't covered it, but this is moving. This is up on that news. Now it's kind of
up significantly on that news too.
Let's take a look at a longer chart here. Oh, that's nice for Vodafone because this thing looked like it was coming down pretty hard. It was oversold. Now it's back up above a couple of significant moving averages and testing the 50. Yeah. Let me look at something here. They don't have a whole lot else to speak on with that for Vodafone. Okay, they're not part of NVIDIA's ecosystem.
VIX actually dropping here into a 15 handle, 1549. Your VIX is at right now. Bitcoin also at the highs near 65K.
JZXN, that hit a high of 282, coming back in towards the VWAP. Looks like NVVE still trying to hit that 15 print. Looks like HAO, one of those junker names from earlier, went down to the 65 EMA. It's trying to get support there. Bolo wrap is after a drop out of the gate. What's up?
I was going to say wrap from yesterday.
Yeah, that had a drop out of the gate to 214. It's on the recovery. There's a lot of levels you can drop on for resistance, including this. I would say 240. 240 looks like the next resistance area. So Lucy's still trying to push higher. A lot of supply to move through. Need better volume. Looks like GMM is trying to hold the 65 EMA. If it loses that, this thing's coming down to, I would say, 375.
No bueno there. FBRX. Kathy's mentioning FBRX.
FBRX.
Forte Biosciences. Stock is up 12.2%. It actually came back into the VWAP.
So they had, this is the one from yesterday, isn't it? The one that had the news, the vitiligo news?
Yeah. Pretty sure it.
Yeah. So I guess, let me look at the chart, because it could just be that this is moving on relative volume. I kind of would lean on that, because this yesterday was one of the highest volume days it's had in a while. And the last time that we had a volume day like that, it did go on it did go on a bit of a run to higher prints. So I'm looking back here at November of 2024, when it had a significantly high volume day like it did yesterday, and it went on a bit of a run for looks like a couple of weeks. Not saying that that's something that's going to happen here, but certainly worth keeping an eye on. It's getting pretty extended up here too, so I don't think we're going to necessarily see that happen again.
G-Man saying SPY market is so lame / boring today. Indeed, it actually gave one buy signal early on. That bounce ended up going pretty well. I did get another one right here, but it really needs to snap the 753 area to move higher. More NVIDIA calls. We had just seen a ton of NVIDIA call buying today.
You're right about that, Webcoin. JLHL, ugly drop. It's been halting down all morning. This is the kind of things that these pumped names will do, especially when they have very low float, no news. Just, hey, look, it's something we can move around. Hey, hot potato. That's what it is. That's all it is. Netflix. Let me look at that. I didn't think about it. Hot potato is probably the best way I could describe trading Chinese stocks.
Actually, yeah, that's really good.
Pass it along before you're a bad holder.
New low for SpaceX. All right. We expected that to drop. Mark Putrino said he was expecting that to drop too.
Yeah, Netflix continuing to come in. It looks like if I would say that somewhere around 71 might be support, but I think I could see this going lower. I don't know if it's just going to do it today, but 70 still seems like that's going to happen. That exact print. We know we haven't got it yet. We've come close, but to me, it looks like 70 still might happen.
Let me refresh Pro here real quick. Just give me a sec.
Wrap still climbing higher. JZXN, is that open? It is.
It is.
It's open, trying to get to 3 294 is the high. Maybe this is, today's J8, whatever that other one was that's getting hammered now. JL, HL, or whatever it is.
JLHL.
I don't know.
I get them mixed up too.
NVVE halted to the downside. Didn't get the 15. Got pretty close. 1486. That's the high that we got. We're halted down beneath VWAP now. This may be the first candle that closes under VWAP. If that's the case, there's more downside ahead.
Che Tae-wan, the SK Group chairman, should be on CNBC. That said, coming up. Maybe we'll get an indication on when we can expect SK Hynix from that. We'll see.
Lots of rotation out of all the stuff that's run. So JZXN just hit 3. Lots of rotating the stuff that's run in order to make room for that SK Hynix trade. JZXN popped 3, went to 321, and almost came right back into 3. Actually, it did. Just be careful if you are trading this, and congratulations if you're already making money on it.
Yeah, and I'm watching SPY here. I'm thinking it's probably time to be careful too. I keep getting phantom buy signals here. It actually looks like it wants to roll over. I would not trust this here. Watch me be wrong on it though.
Let's look at SPY. Let's look at the daily chart here.
VIX continuing to melt a little. 1550. I mean, that thing has just been down. I'm seeing here on X 181 indication on SK Hynix.
Well, it looks like SPY still might go to 755, but that's going to be the next resistance area. We got rejected. There was rejection there in June 15th. I certainly think it could still be resistance, at least just for today. Maybe next week we start moving over that level, but at least we're starting to get out of this consolidation. But we're still kind of in the broadening though. So 755.
Stop loss hidden velo. Dara, weren't you adding in the 12s though? So at least you scraped some pennies on that. At least good job not letting your trade go red. You'd probably be given another opportunity to add.
Hey, Drop Bomb. JZXN broke his trend line. We'll get it fixed. G-Man is the CPU the new darling? HPE is going up. Well, I think HPE is going up because there's still demand for servers, and it's I think Dell and HPE kind of they're in the same spot. They go hand in hand. CPU because I think you're asking now that we've seen graphics chips and AI chips run, we've seen memory run. Is CPU happening next? I felt like the CPU side has already started, has been going on.
13, really quick, just to jump in here. Not only do I think you're exactly right, but from my last news story here of the day, this was on AMD maybe overtaking or closing the gap on NVIDIA in terms of their chips. It says right here, black and white, CPUs are becoming increasingly critical to the evolving AI ecosystem. And I think you're right. This already started.
Yeah, it's this is why I was buying Broadcom. Well, Broadcom's not necessarily a CPU play. They're just there's a lot of different things with that. But AMD is one of the reasons why I was buying in 2024 on the way down. And I'm still I still have my plan in place to continue to trim. My next trim spot is 700. I think that it's just I don't know that it's the new darling. I think that it's starting to get seen for what it is. So I would say no. I think the move's already begun, but it should already be a darling.
SPY back to VWAP here. We'll see if this actually sets up a trade as it rolls right back over to VWAP.
And yeah, EKS, CSCO, yeah, also that I would put in there too. So CSCO, they're going to be, I think they're presenting, or they're at least going to be attending that World AI conference in Shanghai next. I think it's next week. But yes, enterprise customers are which I think is what's driving Dell and HPE and a number of those other server businesses. but not SMCI. I don't like that one.
No, me either.
And apparently they were quite central to the smuggling, the chip smuggling between the U.S. and China.
I liked what you said last night, 13. This is a forever no touch.
Oh,
That's the same. I'm in the exact same camp as you. You want to day trade it? Be my guest. To me, there's just plenty of other things to go after.
Yeah.
Maybe we finally get a curl now in Circle, by the way. I know that first one was met with a wave of selling, kind of slapped it back down, but trying again here. But still watch 68. That definitely seems to be a pivot.
Starting to get some recovery in some of those names that were getting smacked down this morning. We'll see if this recovery continues. But lots of reversing candles starting to show up. I don't want to get anybody too excited. We're just starting to see this. It might mean nothing, but just keep an eye on some of these movers that are trying to put a bottom in. Maybe they do reverse. NVVE. Trying again here, recapture the VWAP after the unhalt.
And SPY is trying here. I did get a buy signal and another here.
Is there news? Iran
just got to sell there.
Reported. So they're. No, they don't think that's what's causing this. This news came out about 20 minutes ago. There was just Qatar, the Qatari delegation traveled to Iran for consultations. I don't think that's what's causing this.
Yeah, that's not anything.
Okay, well, NVVE is halted to the upside. We might get this 15 break now.
Better late than never, Retro. Welcome. Hopefully you're having a good day. I mean, you're at Jackson Hole. You got to be having a good day.
How is this the party when you're in Jackson Hole? You get a heart attack watching SMCI? Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised that company is still on the exchange with everything that I know about what they've been doing. I'm really surprised. It's no surprise that their top brass has been investigated criminally.
Pull here in the SPY.
Yep. Cream Biscuits halted up.
I gotta be honest with you. I do not see anything totally appetizing at the moment right now.
No, and if you don't trade anything, fine, because like we were saying, this is just another one of these days this week where it's low volume. Nobody's really interested in anything. There's all the excitement's going to be when the earnings season starts. I think that people are just stepping away from the market for now and trying to finish up their summer. Do I think RTX was RXT was oversold on the news? Let's look at RXT. And let's see. This is from news yesterday. I pulled this thing down. Let me just go over that real quick. Rack space. So this was what, off of earnings that it came down. I would say probably not, because I think this thing was moving up initially on momentum, and once that whole that whole idea of blowout earnings evaporated from this name and a lot of the names, they're starting to sell off. So it's no different with this one. They're now lowering their guidance. That's not what traders want to see. So this, I can't really speak on if this was warranted, the move down was warranted or not. But I can understand that this lowering guidance would certainly cause a pull in a battleground stock like this one. So I think I would say, yeah, it kind of makes sense. Here's the thing. It's now got the task of having to recapture the 50-day SMA. There could still be more downside ahead if we can't get past that moving average. And you also have a pretty large float too, so that's working against it as well. And they're also offering a mixed shelf. So there's a lot of things working against this right now for upside. You got the 250 million offering. You got the lowered guidance. it's probably just like all those things together that really put the downside on this. So I think this makes sense given all that context.
Well, good stuff there. Rec space.
Yeah, Eric. Yeah, they had an offering and cut guidance. Yeah, so I would think that makes sense. Now about it being oversold, not quite. It can still go lower. It's a pretty big sell-off, but it still looks like this could go lower. I don't think it's oversold yet.
Breaking news: SK Hynix chairman saying we are in the AI era. Just in case y'all didn't know.
Did somebody
still no
just tell
indication
him?
on when we're supposed to open here.
Somebody just tell him? Yeah, we've known that. Everybody in this group knows that we've been in the AI era.
This was the graphic they showed earlier that I thought was interesting. Major memory players for the high bandwidth market, Samsung and Micron each have a 21% slice, but SK Hynix has a 58% slice.
Slice of, I'm sorry, what was that?
The high bandwidth memory market.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I saw that Fermi had a upsized offering of convertible notes. Dilution offset until 1464 per share. So that's a number we can mark off here.
SPY pulling back down to the VWAP here. Last time it did this, it overshot the VWAP and actually gave an upside trade when it turned around. So maybe that'll be something to watch.
Yeah, Fermi's still, this one was still got a lot of hurdles to get through, but this has got a big campus that they're working on. So it was getting attention when there was a lot of pushback on those data centers, but the whole recent talk about how capital intensive these data centers can be has really soured the whole entire theme for a lot of stocks, this one included. But it's down at a pretty interesting spot. We'll see if it can turn around. I have been in AMD.
Really quickly, SK Group chairman said, quote, we're going to double capacity in 5 years. And his customers told him that that wasn't enough. So one of the things we talked about with the memory trade is that when more supply comes on, it's likely going to impact some of the sky high prices for things like Micron and SanDisk. And he's telling you that not only are they trying to increase this, but it's going to take 5 years. And the people that he's telling this to are saying that's not enough. So it seems like there's still kind of a battle here on how much is going to be required. We'll see how that impacts the price. I'm very curious to see how this trades here today, along with Micron, like you were outlining earlier about maybe some money coming out for the Hynix one. I'm very curious to see.
Well done on your trade on VVE. We did get that break of 15. Looks like we went to 16.29. So out of that halt, that was the move. Now I don't know where this goes next. Might come back in, might continue. Let me see what I had next for a level. I thought I had mentioned it. 18, I think, is what I said. So let's see if 18 happens. No guarantee, but that's the next resistance level I see. So Retro was asking, I think you have been in AMD. I have been in AMD for a couple of years now. I am thinking of selling remaining shares at 600 from $85 buy. What price top are you seeing chart-wise? No idea on a price top. My next level to trim is going to be 700. I still think that the AI theme is going to extend into the 2030s. So I could see that this coming back in or going sideways for a time before it goes higher. So, but I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say SPY did bounce off the VWAP. That's trading up here. Did get a buy signal on that. Not in it myself. Go ahead.
But for a top, I don't have a real idea on where the top could be. I think this theme continues, and I think it's going to continue for years. There's going to be some corrective measures, some moves where we see pullbacks and corrections and whatnot. But I know I seem to be increasingly in the minority on this, but I don't think that we're seeing data centers go away or the demand for them. We still haven't even considered the data centers in space and all the infrastructure we're going to need for all the exploration and industrial expansion in that sector. So,
and by the way, SK Hynix chairman in his interview that was just going on said not only are they seeing no loss of demand for the chips required for all of this, he actually sees exponential growth in the future.
So that's great news. And yeah, I mean, if you figure you can always get back into AMD on a pullback and it's in a Roth, then I think you should be speaking with your financial advisor on that or your fiduciary about if it's a good idea. Because for me, I'm just I have a plan to trim on the way up, and my next trim spot's 700. Good Lord, look at NVVE.
I have it on screen. As a matter of fact,
it looks like it wants 18. Looks like it wants 18. Congratulations on everybody that took NVVE. Even if you already sold, you still had an outstanding trade.
Small caps continue to get pounded. Breadth expands to the downside and has continued. It's done that all day here today. Small caps out of favor.
Well, so Buffalo, great point. Make sure they're a fiduciary, because they're if they're just a financial advisor, they can solicit ideas to use and sell you on stocks that they've been told to promote or push. But if they're a fiduciary where they're legally obligated to act in your interests, then those are the ones I would go with, because they're legally bound to do right by you. So I would say that. Don't just go with a financial advisor. Find yourself a fiduciary. So NVVE 1766 was the high. I guess we're getting a little bit of selling happening now.
SPY breaking through the VWAP to the downside
before we get to 18 on possibly on NVVE. Don't know if we will, but 18 is the next spot. UNP quietly making new highs. CSX2. I think there's supposed to be a merger with those, isn't there? Union Pacific, I actually picked up a little while back, and that's been pretty good. Let me actually see what my cost on that was. But did like the railroads. And I think, let me just double check what I was saying there. No, it's Union Pacific and Norfolk are the ones that are apparently merging.
Still don't see anything I really like here, folks. I apologize. SpaceX new lows.
Where is it? Double check when I got into this. So I was leaning into this in December and January.
Crude's gone red, by the way.
And my average is 230.68. UPN been pretty good to me. Yeah, and NVE still hanging out here. Keep an eye on that 18.
SPY struggling to recapture its VWAP intraday and looks like it might push lower here. Izzy, I'm targeting, I think, 80.
And
I'd like to get 80 for SpaceX. Don't know if I will, but that's what I'd like.
Here we go, 1825 now, NVVE. Hitting all the targets. All right, let's see. Next for NVVE is, we're in this, we're in a bit of a consolidation area. So it might be a little tough to chew through, but the top end of that consolidation area is going to be in the low 20s. Looks like 23 might be the top end of that. looks like it still could possibly hit 20, but I have a real hard time looking at this consolidation and thinking that's not going to be a problem. So let's keep that in mind. Might see a pull here.
SPY did recapture VWAP. We'll see if it's trying to go higher here. It's at a spot though. I'm getting a bunch of sell indicators too, sell signals, I should say.
The RBRX, because of the China space rocket that just landed itself on Earth yesterday. Let's see. So this is this the one that's a Long March 10B? I'm wondering if this was the one that's meant to compete with the Falcon 9, because if this is the first time they've managed to land it, well, then congratulations. They've managed to do what SpaceX has been doing for over 10 years now. And it might be a reason why, but there's still a lot of work that they need to do. I wouldn't be concerned right now.
Wow, what a fake out there on SPY. That recapture of the VWAP immediately rolled over. We are retesting that recent low that it bounced from here. See if we go back down 752, 751 on SPY. Yep, I'm seeing the same thing, Brian. ES and NQ, still the same playbook. It grabs those chasers and then it dumps into them. That's exactly what we're seeing here. That's one of the reasons why I didn't want to chase that bounce to the upside, because felt like that was probably just going to roll over, and sure enough, it did.
Oh, Buffalo, I'm sure they knew how they made their money, but they just wouldn't say.
Jay says, looks to me like some of the big winners are seeing profit taking and some of the bottom fishing and laggards, i.e. China, Lulu, Shaq, and maybe a few others. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Just get me to SK Hynix and then get me to the weekend. I've had enough of this week 13.
Yeah, I feel you. Much more looking forward to the game. Walmart ripping. What's the daily chart look like? Well, I think it could be for the reason that Jay was saying, the laggards. I also think that like a lot of consumer-facing names are getting attention too. A lot of the ones that have been beaten down. Maybe we're finally seeing that lift we've been anticipating. Do you have a support level for Ionic? Let's take a look. Next support level looks like we have a bit of a mid channel here. That's close to 40. If we don't get support at 40, you have the 500-day SMA down at 36.68. We're getting into oversold territory, so I could see some more downside, but I don't think there's going to be a whole lot more. This thing is getting to be pretty getting to oversold. We're at a 34 RSI, but still could head lower before we find our footing. Now it looks like NVVE is hit to 1890 and is starting to go a little bit sideways there. Calculated SpaceX fair intrinsic value at $5. That reminds me, let's take a look and see if we even got our static fire yet. Doesn't look like it. It's going to be a show.
All right. Don't see a whole lot more going on here. Zach, Ondas did hold 730, at least so far. Hopefully that keeps up for the rest of the day. SPY did bounce from the same area earlier and recaptured its VWAP. It's trying to trade higher now. I did not get any buy signal for this as it continues to push up. 753 now. PODN says bought the dip on Ondas. There you go.
All right. Lucy trying to make its way back over VWAP. ELAB, ELAB. Down to through the 200 EMA now, looking for 150. 115 support.
All right, 13. We are out of time here for today. You got any closing words for the group?
Well, I think the market's still sleeping. It's been a boring week, folks, and I don't think that's
one for me too. Yeah,
I don't think it's going to continue. I think with earnings season starting next week, and then we have the FOMC meeting later on at the end of this month. We also have CPI next week. Going to be a fun week next week. I think there's be a lot more liquidity, a lot more participation. Still could be choppy though. So just some things to watch for. But until then, have a great weekend. Enjoy the World Cup games, and I will see everybody on Monday. Have fun, everybody. Enjoy Anne-Marie. Take care. Goodbye.
All right, 13. Good stuff this week, despite the market not really cooperating. Enjoy the games. Have a great weekend. We will catch you next week. 13's departure leaves room for Anne-Marie. Let's bring her on. There she is. Anne-Marie, how you doing?
Pretty good. How about you?
I'm happy that we're closer to the weekend. I'll be honest. It's not the greatest week at all. Really just kind of tired from all of this. Ready for the weekend. There's a tennis match going on right now too that I'd really like to check out. But so I'm excited. I'm excited for the weekend. Excited for the week to be over. What do you have for us today?
Well, a couple of different things. I think first, what I want to do is make sure we understand what's happening in SPY, and where we're sitting is, I mean, it looks like we're getting ready to stage a breakout. And the key thing for us to remember is that almost every time we hit a high, we retrace. So we had about 3 days upside, 1 day downside, up, spent really almost 5 days in this area, and that's where we're sitting right now. So the traders are in a midst of wash, rinse, and repeat. And really what we're seeing is a lot of negative divergence as it moves up into the range, the higher highs, maybe 3 days up, and then we have ourselves another fade. So I would say punching up into these top areas is a low probability. If you're thinking about today, I would expect that wicks would get sold. And so if we take a look at a 30-minute formation, here's our 9:30 open. Here's our 10 o'clock candle, and now we've started the 10:30 candle literally inside of the opening candle formation. And what we did at 10 o'clock was we had a liquidity grab. We had a sweep up there into the resistance zone, and then they pulled us right back down. So my thought is we continue to see these sweeps. So if you take along, just remember hanging on for some sort of massive payoff intraday is, do you see what just happened to the candle?
Yep, sure did. That thing is,
Holy
man.
smokes.
You picked a good one. That was really good timing, Anne-Marie. I have a huge pull right there. Got to be on news.
Wow. Yeah, let's see. Oh my word. Look at that. Okay, so now what we want to see is a liquidity, a sweep below that breaks all the lows. So now we're looking at yesterday's 9:30 candlestick high and yesterday's 9:30 candlestick body low. And look at them bounce right off of that 748. It also happens to be the high candle body of the 4 a.m. The high candle body of the 4 a.m. But look at that. We're going to see this a lot over the coming days. There's a tremendous amount of volatility in the market. And though we look at broad implied VIX and we see it collapsing, What the broad implied VIX does not tell us is intraday liquidity. It tells us 30 days of liquidity and volatility. So when you look at the VIX, it's a 30-day cycle, not an intraday cycle. So it's fooling a lot of traders that go, okay, low vol means that, things are going to be grinding to the north, but that intraday vol is really expanding. And so there's a big disconnect there. But what it tells us is those super deep dips, they're going to get bought.
Real quick, Anne-Marie,
right there. Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to get in here and get it with the news. I know several of you
Yeah.
folks are asking. President Trump says Iran has asked us to continue the talks. Trump has agreed, but the U.S. stated that he said to them in no uncertain terms, the ceasefire is over. So we're seeing the market bounce back here towards the VWAP. Sounds like it sounds like the gloves are off here. We're willing to negotiate, but we've had enough of this nonsense. And if this doesn't happen here, get ready. That would be my read through on it. They were S&P futures sharply lower, but again, they've retraced over 50% of the move down. They are almost ready to recapture VWAP.
Yeah. And they have this upward sloping 50. So if you like intraday trading, one of the best candle groups that you can look at is how the 9:30 candle opens and holds and how the 3:30 candle opens and closes. And when you lose the 3:30 candle of the day prior and you've got this kind of volatility working in the market, look at that 9:30 candle and it's going to tell you the information. It's really quite phenomenal. But here's the big thing. If you've got stops that you're holding really tightly and you're looking for 1 to 2 day trades or whatever, you're going to get smashed.
Yeah.
If you don't look backwards and go, wait, where is my support zone? And what is my risk associated with that? Risk management is the most important it's ever been in the SPY and all the elements sitting inside of the broad market right now. It's really it's something to behold. So just that little note there, and remember what your goal is when you're staring these things down. If you've got a high on a big candle and you think to yourself, okay, that's resistance, remember there's a group that's going to try and sweep that and then move it down where it's supposed to go. So saying, hey, I'm going to short that ledge often sends you into a space where you get stopped out and then you watch the trade go in your direction. So look at the level, let them breach it, and when they fail it, then you take that short down. Other than that, you're going to be caught on the wrong side. And you can do it in both directions, from the downward flow and the upward flow. So that's our little lesson for today.
That's awesome. And that's happened to me a number of times, right? Like I've been waiting for my setup. It goes, I get swept out, stopped out, and then the trade ends up working later and you're like, damn it.
Yes. And that's really, it's a natural space where, and I was listening to Mark this morning, man, did he drop some knowledge nuggets.
He came out firing today. It was awesome.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. If you guys haven't checked it out, when Ryan goes off stream, just scrub it backwards and get there. I mean, golden information sitting right there.
By the way, SPY has recaptured VWAP from that huge plunge.
Yeah, the whole day is going to look like this simply because when we came into the day, we had huge institutional supply up above us, and they worked through all of that supply. Now what they have to do is recalibrate, find a base, and either break to the north or break to the south. It's just a mess in between. But because trend is up, savage fades are going to get bought. You talked about all the SPY calls going on, all the calls going off this morning.
NVIDIA, yeah.
NVIDIA, Meta, all of them just absolutely screaming to the north. And, I don't know what the length of the time they're buying these calls at, but most folks are using 2 to 3 days on expiration to get
It
themselves.
was a mixture this morning. It was mostly a mixture. A ton of calls for today, so they were obviously 0 DTE. There were some for next week, which gives you the 1 week there, and then there were some for August as well.
Okay. All right. So what can we look at? A couple of things. We could take a look at Caterpillar because a lot of people have been watching Caterpillar. I don't know when their earnings come in. Oh, just a couple of weeks. So Caterpillar's at a pretty important space. This area at 905 is a potential floor in this formation, but we could have a number of dips that come into 850 and then buy. If we close the day above 950, it's going to send us back to 1,000. That's my suspicion. We have, if you're holding those options and you are long or short anything, 720 has got a dividend. People are going to try to exercise whatever calls they can in order to collect that dividend. So be careful if you're short calls on that day at the money, near the money, in the money. You need to roll it or you're going to get exercised. So that's a big deal. I like CAT above this area. So as I often say, the biggest superpower we have as a trader trading formations is an alert, a price alert event. And we can see, look what happened yesterday. We had that sweep above and then a collapse, but what it's doing is holding the higher low. So as long as we don't lose 930, which is that opening range sweep to the south, as long as we hold that zone, this chart has a pretty good shot at moving to the upside. I would wait until it closes over the level, or since the day is looking to be very choppy, wait for the sweep lower and then get into the trade. And if you're thinking about getting into that trade, August is not a bad place. Oopsie, let's see. Let's move that out of the way, So August is not a bad place for this one. Let's see where all the traders are sitting. Look at this, 6,500 at 600. Wow. Holy smokes, that's wow. I think this is probably folks that sold the put into the last earnings event when it rocketed to the north. There's no real motion here from that perspective. But if you're looking for price action that's going to give you comfortable areas of support / resistance, the short put, you could get this for $3 if the price action fades later today. And if you're looking for that upward motion, we've got, ooh, that's $20. I don't want to move 20. Let's see if we can do that better. Sorry. I think it goes to, we might have to do one that's a 20 spread, to be honest, simply because this is where the traders are sitting between 1040 and 1080. I think it tops out there, to be fair. But if we try to do something that's 20 wide, then what are we looking at? 820. Whoops. Man. Shrek fingers today. My apologies. 820 to 800. That's almost half the size of the spread. So not bad, but it does take some margin. So do we leak the rest of the day today? You know, I don't know. I think the whole day is going to be super sideways. Um, I like the areas for the dip buying to hold us. And this is a gigantic sweep from the downside. Take a look at SPY again and how much it faded. I mean, right into those key levels.
look at
And
that.
now here it is running again. But try to look for a double bottom. So I would say for anything we talk about that is long, give the chart some room and wait for it to come in. Put an alert right here at about 7:48. Okay, great. All right. You mentioned a
USAR earlier.
yes. Let's see what those. I got distracted. So this looks just like an iron condor to me. It really does. As soon as I pulled up the chart after you said that, I went, yeah, this looks like an iron condor. Um it's got edges all the way up at 32 and floors down here at 14. So it's very wide. So in a space where it's very wide like this, you really want to think about what's the risk to reward? And is there another kind of trade that might work out better? Because the size is, I mean, it's 50% of the entire price range of the stock. And so that's a difficult space to hold. But what it should, quotations, should do is hold this earnings pocket of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days before it breaks out and retests. So the floor of this formation could easily be 15. 15 seems fair. And so if you're thinking about, does rare earths have an opportunity to bounce? It could. But there's no premium sitting in these spaces. It's just very shallow. So the better thing might be wait for the setup that says, okay, I am down here at $15. And you might go, yeah, what if it leaves me? Well, if it leaves you, then, we get to take the breakout. But as it sits, it's got downward flows. It's got negative momentum. Every bounce has been getting sold. And what we want to see is whether it can put in a floor like these sit over here. And that's an up, down formation. And so we could see a bounce to 20 or a fade to 15. So you're like, why are you still talking? Here's why. You can say, listen, I'm just going to buy a put spread if it fades, 46 cents for 4 times that amount on the upside. If you do that, and if it goes to 20, you can do the same thing. And so that is a long con. Well, look at these guys at 23, right? That might be the one to pick right there. For me, this is an either or. It's a binary event, and so a strangle, the straddles are way too expensive, but a strangle might not be a bad idea. And really, because, I mean, this strangle is, whoops, this strangle's expensive. So if you sold both sides and you had a naked strangle, it'd give you $5. So literally the chart would have to drop to $14 or break out to $23 before you lost anything into expiration. So I would definitely not be buying anything. I'd be putting it in spreads. And so what do? You anticipate that when it gets to 20, it's probably going to come back to 18 and make this kind of bottoming space here. Is there room for this one to run? Potentially. Potentially there is, but as it sits right now, it is in a peat bog for sure.
Okay. There you go for USAR. That was just kind of a stab there, but that works.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you got? I'm sorry I don't have much for you
You
this
know,
week. like we were
I
saying earlier.
don't, and the reason I don't is because so many things are in flux. And let me show you what I mean. Let's go back to the charts and let's load sector rotation. So what we see is what the S&P 500 is doing versus energy, right? So energy's fading, materials are sort of bottoming, industrials made a high but are now pulling back, discretionary is fading, staples are fading, healthcare's on the rise, so we could look at Lilly, but all of these, look at where they're coming up to. Resistance, resistance. This one is pulling back into support, but again, we got a little bit of movement for support. So all of these things are either sitting at resistance and have not confirmed. So a breakout above this range in discretionary. I'm going to put an alert here. Oh, it won't let me do it. Crud sickles. All right. So literally, we're sitting in a gigantic noise pocket that is giving us a little bit of nothing. And so if we're somehow dying to trade, you want to go where things have looked pretty solid. And here are some pullbacks in healthcare. Healthcare's moving well. So Moderna had that great big pullback. Now, I don't like Moderna because I think their balance sheet looks pretty awful. And boy, the more time I spend around Tim, I say things I would have never said before. But this one has, I know, that's good and bad. Yeah, it's good and bad. But what we're seeing is this chart fade pretty dramatically, and it bounced right up into the high. And I normally leave that at like 500x off of this earnings event. And now all it's doing is testing old old support became resistance. Now it's going to be testing old support. Looks like it's going to become resistance. So bounces look like pretty solid fades for Moderna. And that's going to change unless if we have some sort of, I don't know, whatever, where they get to hype up what it is that they're going to sell. So for me, I love this and I expect it to come all the way to 50, but it's going to need time. So let's see if anybody else is thinking that same thing. So let's go to September. It's normally a little bit of a rocky month, and let's see where they're positioning. 5,000 at, oh, what do you know, 50. So this 50 to 45, you might go, hey, I think it's going to hold 50, but I don't think it's going to get past 80. And that gives us a 5 wide iron condor that takes more than 50%, and the delta is 0.24. It's not even 1%. So this sort of range tells us, hey, everybody is sort of sitting right in this pocket. It gives us great opportunity there. If you just want to go straight out short here, it might not be a bad idea to choose, 55 to, where's the next group? That wouldn't be a good one. Maybe you would go, yeah, that's right there. You could go 60 to 50 if you did not do the iron cut. No, you could do that. You could do both of those. So it'd be 348. Could you turn it into a butterfly? Yes, but look at the volume. It's going to be very hard to get in. And then once you get in, it's going to be hard to get out. You're going to have to split your legs apart to take those off as things move. So that's what I'm looking at there. If you want to take a look at Lily, we could take a look at Lily last.
Okay.
Lily just hit the top of its range 4 days ago. It's double topping, but as long as it holds up above this 1174, it's going to still be a buy, because old resistance, new support, and people are taking their overweight injections in mass, right? So that still looks pretty good. Dips or buys. If you don't want to wait, which it's the trader's death knell, not having patience. But if you don't want to wait, here's the last earnings candle. Easily, that's the space for it to hold the high-low area. So if you want to do something that says, give me a short put spread, I'd say 1040. I'd do September. Nobody's in there right now. Let's see where they are. Not a lot of put selling at all. So you might do 1050 to 1040. And then let's see where the expansion zone goes. 1330. Everybody's at 1300. So we can do 1300 to 1320. It gives you, 687, which is not bad for a stock that's got implied vol in the chains of 39, right? That's very low implied volatility. So that's it. And really, if you don't have this spread, let me share this grid.
Yeah, I'd love that grid. I was thinking that earlier.
Yeah. Okay. Sectors. Okay. I will put it in the chat with you.
Okay.
And then you can share it with
I will do that right now. I was actually going to ask you that. That's perfect. You're reading my mind.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm a pretty good mind reader. My kids hate it.
I bet they do.
Serves me well.
I bet they do.
Yeah, it serves me well.
All right.
And that's going to be it. You be careful today.
Yeah, definitely.
The markets are slippery.
Definitely be careful today, folks. I put that link there in the chat for you, for anyone that wants to load that grid into toss there. Anne-Marie, thanks very much. Do me a favor and have yourself a great weekend. We'll be back at this again. We should have some more to talk about next week with earnings season starting up at JP Morgan.
Yes,
so maybe we'll do that.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anne-Marie, you're fantastic. Have a great weekend. All right. Anne-Marie's departure leaves room for Sandra. Let's check in with her. Sandra, how are you doing today? Happy Friday. And you're muted. I can hear you. You're good.
We took the July 4th off, and then now all of a sudden I'm rusty. How's everybody doing?
I know how it goes. We're good. We're waiting for SK Hynix here, so we'll see what that gives us here today. Otherwise, then at least on my end, been kind of a boring week. What do you have coming up here?
Actually just going to be talking about looking at some charts. The markets are kind of crazy this month. I don't really feel like, it's been a good trend following time right now.
Yeah.
We're kind of just all waiting to see what happens. But we're going to, maybe do some automation practice. So when it finally does follow through, maybe we can make some money.
All right. That sounds awesome. I'm looking into automation too. I appreciate that. Excited. Trading Made Simple with Sandy starts right now.
Welcome back, traders. This is Sandra with Trading Made Simple. I'm here to show you short-term proven strategies. People think trading is a one-size-fits-all market. It's not. We live trade and train daily. Let's talk trading.
Benzinga, let's talk about some automation, right? So look at SPY right now at 751. Definitely a bullish right here. But, as far as momentum is concerned, we're really just kind of hanging out at this level and kind of going sideways. So really wanting some trend continuation, right? But it seems to just be going sideways right now. So looking at the 20 EMA, you can see we're above point of control here on support and resistance. It looks like we're just tagging our first, finally, you could tell that on Monday, it popped up so close to our first level of resistance, could not touch it or break through it, came right back down. And then now we're actually touched it, but again, coming right back down. So it looks like we'll have to see what our support or resistance is this weekend to program some trades. What we do basically is program our trades on the weekend and then let those kind of follow through. And we're really looking for weekly support or resistance. And we just rinse and repeat each and every week. Kind of helps you to, instead of staying in front of the computer and being frustrated that you're waiting for that continuation so you can make your trade, you could just put it on based on those support and resistance levels. If you're more of a technical analyst, you could utilize other indicators that you're looking at in order to find those triggers and then enter your automations. So we're going to go through a couple of those today. And momentum high, but it's still looking good, but it's just kind of going sideways. And so we're really looking for a breakout. If we don't end up breaking out, we're going to come right back down again to the 20. And you can see how often we came, we broke above the 20, coming back down. And we seem, if you take a look at this, basically this EMA, you could see that it's just going sideways here. Now, one of the funny things I learned early on was that when you look at your trend line here, you're looking at your 20 EMA and you see it just going sideways, right? We're either looking for two things. We're looking for one, that it's going to make a smile on your chart, which means that you're going to be trending bullish, or you're going to be making a frown, right? The EMA is going to start pointing down to make a frown, which means that we're heading bearish. So really kind of at an inflection point here, but you could see how many weeks, right? We've just been going sideways. A lot of overnight gaps. This is a really difficult market to trade in. So you may, depending on what your capital is, how you want to manage your risk, you may want to take the sidelines out until you actually can identify, what is SPY and QQQ doing right now? Is it going to complete that smile, or is it going to complete a frown? And oftentimes, if you just utilize support and resistance for those levels, you can then just participate in it when it actually happens, instead of being stuck at your computer waiting for something to happen. All right, so let's get over to some charts and take a look. So we have SPY just kind of going sideways. Momentum looks good. but we're just waiting for something to happen. Consolidation. We got the Qs in consolidation. Do we have, boy, IWM also looks like in consolidation, almost ready to break down below that 20. I will warn you on IWM here. You know, they consider this the canary in the coal mine for the economy. All the transportation is in IWM. And when we actually start to see IWM breaking down, then we're going to see other, typically, the market will follow. So as you can see, momentum is actually below the zero line. So this is momentum's already has left IWM, right? And you can see that we're just toying with this 20. If we don't bounce back soon here and we break below this 20, we're going to go lower. And you can see our last low was here. If we break that low, where are we going? Right over here. And so really, you know, when you take a look at that chart and see that IWM is kind of failing here, you know, that's more of an economy indicator, letting you know that there could be trouble ahead. So as we look at SPY in QQQ and we see that we're consolidating, maybe we have a breakdown instead of a breakout, right? Because those are the two scenarios that are going to happen after consolidation: accumulation or distribution. And let's see here. Let's take a look at some stocks within some of these sectors. We got AMD. AMD actually this week staying below. We actually on Monday, we crested above point of control and we just couldn't hit that first resistance level, right? Just couldn't hit it. Oh, this is IWM. Sorry about that, guys. I don't have my thing linked. On Thinkorswim, you want to link your charts to your watch list. Let's see if I can do that. Let me open this up a little bit. Here it is. All these little tiny buttons on Thinkorswim, probably the only thing that I just hate about it. And as I'm getting older, right, those buttons are becoming smaller and smaller and smaller. All right, so now let's take a look at IWM. When we take a look at IWM, I mean, right now, not so bad. Let's see. Ooh, what a hot mess here. So we're above the 20, which on a daily is positive, came down, bounced off of that 20. You could see the momentum, right? Really toying with that zero. We're just above the zero line on momentum. But really on the 20, we're just going sideways there for the last couple days. You could see these big gaps, right, guys? Big gaps. Hard to trade those gaps. When first you're heading lower, then you're heading higher, just kind of is whipsawing, right? It's whipsawing back and forth, kind of like a washing machine. And it can get you emotionally exhausted from it all. When we take a look at PayPal, PayPal above the 20, looking really nice, did not hit any. This is the issue, I think, for trend following, right? When you have a stock that can't hit its weekly resistance level and it can't hit its weekly support level, then what do you have going on here? It's just a whole bunch of range going sideways. And whether you're an automator or a charting analysis trader, really difficult. When you see, or if you can identify this type of market, you really want to go for smaller profit taking, because as you can see on a number of charts this week, we just could not hit the resistance level or the support level. And so that's just something to take in consideration that you might want to use. Let's take a look at coin. This actually looks for a nice setup for a bounce right here. You have coin at the 20 on a daily bouncing, and then you also have momentum bouncing from the zero line. I like this setup. Next week, the indicator has not done its calculation for next week. But we can easily, right? We can easily kind of assume here that This week's high, as an example, was 171.67. Could we use that as a target? We certainly could. I think I'm going to take the body of that just to make it a little smaller. And that says 168, 168.67. How about we make it 169? So 169 for coin is going to be our bullish target here. And then let's see here. If we can break today's high, which is 167.98, let's make it 168. So that's going to be just like a little day trade. Let's look for something a little bit better that might follow through for the week, because this actually looks pretty decent. If we can break today's high, 167.98, let's make it 168 period. If we can break above that, can we get to this last week's support level, 168? If we break that in half, how about we make that from the prior week's 170? That's a couple bucks. That's not too bad. That could be a quick in and out. So let's make our target at 170. Now, you can either use, indicators, you can use, programs or other types of tools that give you support and resistance level. You could look at the chart, see what, this week's high was, etc. Create the trigger levels, because that's what you need for automation on Thinkorswim or IBKR. That's what you're really looking at. And really, that's the easiest way to automate your trades. So let's do this for coin. If we were going to go over to coin, let's take a look at their option pricing for a week out. So 7 days out, we're looking for next Friday. This would cost us $1,930. And we do have a wide spread here. Let's take a look at a vertical. I don't even like the spread on the vertical. And the reason is that it's just too much slippage, as an example. When you take a look at a ticker and you have this wide spread between bid and ask, even if you get into a debit spread, what'll happen is you won't be able to, sell to close your position. And so it will constantly just stay open. You'll have to continuously bring your price down, down and down and down, and still there's no buyers for it. So when you see that wide bid and ask, don't let that fool you just because it's a popular stock. By the way, it looks like I don't have any of my charts on here. My bad. So sorry about that. I had it on Dell. Let's take a look at coin. So it's still that's actually better. 595 to 625. I like that bid and ask to be, below 40 cents. 35, 30 is like really my favorite. But if I have to extend it just a little bit, I will. And coin can move, because you can see that coin's expected move for next week is 12 points, right? So when you see that, you're like, okay, but going back to my last point was that if you have that really wide bid and ask, consider it like Hotel California. You could check in, but you can never leave. You won't be able to get out of your position, even though it looks like it's making money on the platform itself. Once you experience it, you never want to do it again. That's why you should always have rules in place not to get into either an automation, a day trade, doesn't matter. You don't want to get in to a stock that has a wide bid and ask, because as soon as you get in and you want to come back out, it's going to cost you. That spread difference is going to cost you. And as you could see for Dell, it was really wide. So as we look at coin, not so much. Totally want to do it for coin. So here, what we're going to do is just right click on it, say buy custom with an OCO bracket. This is an easy way to pull up a template, right? This template has it all. It has your buy order, it has your take profit order, and it has your stop loss order. And that's what you want up front. All of your rules up front, so you don't have to sit in front of your computer and stress out about where is the market going, okay? We did our analysis. So we're not going to come back and reanalyze the chart. So what we're going to do is we're going to go right over to our gear icon, and you should see the order rules form. Now, the whole purpose of this order rules form is this little area right here, the conditions. And the reason is because you can do all of this, right from the front of your screen right here. You don't really need to get into order rules. The whole purpose of this is to get into the conditions right here. So that's what we're going to fill out first, okay? So here I'm going to say, okay, coin greater than or equal to, and if you're not familiar with these little trigger levels that they're using on Thinkorswim or IBKR, you can look down and see what it says. And right here it says greater or equal. So that could be your backup if you're not familiar. And then in this box, the threshold means what's the stock price? What do you want to do when the stock price hits? And that stock price was 168. So we're going to put 168 in the box, tab out. And once we tab out, you can see the programming right here, greater or equal to 168. So now we're basically saying, hey, look, we want to buy this call when the stock price hits 168. That's how simple that is. Now, because there might be some, headlines over the weekend, we want to put a protection in place where we have a ceiling. And what that ceiling says is, hey, look, I'm interested in getting into coin, but I don't want to overpay when I get in. And by the way, when wartime volatility hits, you see these prices of options go up, 50%, 100%, up to 500% when the war headlines came out. So you want to be cognizant of that and just put a ceiling to say, I'm interested. And though I'm able to handle a little bit of volatility, if the market makers jack up the price, I don't want to be gouged for this contract, okay? So how we're going to do that is as an example, if we look right over here, you can see mid is 615 for this contract. And we have natural at 630. So what I'll do is just be right in the middle. These are very close and tight. I'll take out my calculator. It's not tough arithmetic here. And what you're going to do is say, okay, if I pay 615 for this, I'm going to add 25% to that. And that puts it at 768. Now that's my ceiling. Doesn't mean I'm going to fill at that price. Just means that if price starts to fluctuate, I don't want to get over that price, okay? And so then we're going to say, all right, here, we're going to keep this as manual because we're manually setting this in, and we're going to go 68, and we're going to tab out, and we're going to save it. So now we have our order in, right? And by the way, when I did this here, I was looking at the money, right? So 768 is the price for any at the money call contract at this time. So now that I know that, because when our trigger hits at 168, that's going to be the at the money ticker or strike price, right? 168 is the strike price. So if we look down here for 168, what's the closest we can find? 167.5. So what we're going to do is come down here and put 167.5. That's going to be our strike that we're choosing for this call when 168 hits. But we still needed to know what the price, what that limit ceiling price was. And we get it from the at the money strike. Okay, I hope that's not too confusing. So we already have the 768. We already have the programming in. We changed the strike to 167.5 because it's the closest to the 168, which is our entry. And now we're going to do our take profit. Now we can do this several different ways. If you came over here as an example and you hit this little paper clip, another little tiny button, you'll see that once you click on it, it opens other little tiny buttons, okay? And if you click on that, you can see that you can get a percentage. Now you can easily say, oh, you know what? I don't want to go for a trigger, but I want to go for a small profit target. So here you can put 10%, you could put 15, 25%, etc. You could do the same with your stop loss. So here what I'm going to do is I'm not going to use it. I'm going to use this as man. I'm going to come right over here to the gear icon, and I'm actually going to use that stock level that we looked at when we did our analysis on the chart. So here I'm going to just say coin mark at or above, which is the second one. And you can see it says it right here. And then here you're going to come over and you're going to put your profit target. Now we said that our profit target was 170, right? We're not looking for a big hit here. We're looking for a small base hit, not a home run. So now we got coin at or above 170 is where we're taking our profit. We're going to say, let's see, on this, we're going to say, we're going to sell the bid, and we're going to put this good till cancel. And now we have our take profit. Now, you'll notice that when I put my order in for the buy side, I didn't put good till cancel. And we definitely want good till cancel because maybe this happens on Monday, right? So now that we have these two, I'm just going to, you'll see that this green button here is completely shaded out. You can't even press on it. And it's letting you know, the system lets you know, it gives you a hint and says, hey, look, your time and force is not lined up. That's what it's telling you. So you just put good till cancel on this one. Now they're all lined up, and now you can see the button, so the system is really like helping you program this. All right, so what is going to be our stop loss on this? Now, typically speaking, on the weekends when we program our trades, we typically just put a 25% stop loss. And when you have a choppy environment, I'm telling you, it's going to get hit. You need to recognize that. But since we've been in consolidation, it's bouncing off of its 20. We're really looking for a move next week. Let's hope we get a move, all right, to the upside. So here we're going to click on that little paper clip. We're going to put this to a percentage. And remember, you can look at your chart and identify a stop loss as well and trigger that as your stop loss. But here we're going to put 25%. I like to give it a little bit of ebb and flow, but at least I have my rule up front. Okay. Now, what happens if there's a big gap, by the way, guys? We've had a lot of big overnight gaps. And typically what happens is you have this huge gap and then you have this fade, right? And so that is really annoying when you have everything programmed in and you get triggered on Monday because of a big gap. And what's it do? It just fades and hits your stop loss. So what we try to do, especially on Mondays, we try to put a gap protection in. Now, if you're saying, wait a minute, gap protection, does Thinkorswim have a gap protection? It really does. I'm going to show you how to use that right now. You're going to go over here to your gear icon on your buy order. And you're going to come over here to your cancellation side. Do you see where this says cancel? Now, because of volatility in the morning, I'll tell you a couple of our secrets. On the weekends, we typically like to put this. I'm going to put this on Monday. And then I'm also going to put this for 10 a.m. And the reason I do 10 a.m. is because that volatility in the morning, especially when there's a gap, it'll trigger your stop loss more times than not. So what I like to do is put a 10 o'clock time period in here so that the volatility can just settle down, make sure that that's the right price before we get into it. So over here, depending on what you'll see up here on my clock, let me go ahead and save this really quick. You'll see here on my clock, by the way, that it says local time or Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to put this on local time for me so that it's just easy for me to program here. And then now I'm going to say, okay, 10 o'clock for me is actually 7 o'clock. So I'm going to do 0700, and you have to put the seconds in there, by the way. Tab out of it. And then you can see, oh, it's actually giving me my local time to fill as well, which is perfect because my 7 o'clock is 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So now this is ready for Monday. And I have now just this little half an hour buffer for the morning volatility. Now, on the same sense for cancellation, I'm going to tell the program, hey, I want you to scan the market as soon as it opens. And if coin is too close to my take profit level, I don't want to be in this trade. So let's say coin gaps up, let's say $1 by Monday. Do I still want to be in this trade when it's only we're looking for a stock to go up $2? No, that's 50% there already. So what I could do is I could say, okay, for this, if coin, right, gets above, and you're going to put 169 here as an example, then I want you to just cancel this order out. And what this does is it protects you from a gap and fade. Typically speaking, once a stock moves, about 60, 70%, you should not think about getting back into that. You should be looking at your next resistance level and saying, okay, if it gets to the first profit target level, that will be my entry. And then your next resistance level will be your profit target. And I would also make sure that you have your puts in place, because typically, and you've seen it this entire couple weeks, we've been doing gap and fades, and we go absolutely nowhere. So with that in mind, this is one way that you can protect yourself, not only for, having a ceiling for gouged prices, just in case there's some crazy headline, but also if we gap up too close to our profit target, this will get us out without putting that on. And don't be sad when this happens. I get members that are always like, oh, a whole bunch of gap protections cancel the orders out. What do I do now? It's like, leave everything in place. We're not here to manage everything every single day. If we're having this gap and fade, you don't even want to be in those tickers anyway. The market environment is not conducive to a trend trader. And automators, retail automators, as well as retail traders, or anyone that looks at a chart and does analysis, is looking for a continuation of your trend. Because no one's going to tell you to get into a trade when we're just consolidating, right? So with that, unless you're doing some premium selling, right? Might want to do an iron condor or, something to that effect where you're actually taking advantage of just sideways movement. But for trend trading, we really don't. We need that trend to continue. So this now gives you the availability to have a ceiling of protection, moderate when you're actually going to have this trade go active, right? You can change this to anything you want to, but since the war, we've been using 10 a.m. We can put now our trigger level of when we want to enter this. And then we also have gap protection. So look at how, how technical advanced, right, just these platforms are. The two we found that were really great for doing this is Thinkorswim and IBKR. And I know so many traders out there that have been trading for 20 plus years and their primary platform is either Thinkorswim and IBKR, and yet they haven't learned how to automate. You could do this on your own, of course, right? Or you can come over to tradingmadesimple.org/autopilot and learn all about automation on your own platform. It's really simple. So now once you click confirm and we look at the dialog box, you can now see basically your programming. And you said, hey, buy this strike on this call. My limit, my ceiling is 768. If it's cheaper, the system will get you in at a cheaper price, but you're not paying more than that. You've already identified that. And then when coin is at or above 168, that's when that's going to happen. And then if coin gets above 169, I'm out of this trade. Completely close this trade out for me. And if coin goes above 170, get me out with profit. If we hit our 25% stop loss, then we're done with that trade. We did our analysis, didn't take very long. We had this program. Now you can just go on for the week and not have to worry about it, right? Whether you're taking your kids to soccer matches or meeting up with your friends. So this is a really nice way to get away from the screens, because I got to tell you, I'm one of those girls that just love looking at the charts and looking at these candles. But when you're looking for a really good trade to get into, this could be monotonous. And so this is a excellent way to still be able to participate, whether you're a day trader or a swing trader or you're trading shares. This works for everything. Okay. So now I really like this setup for a call, but I have to tell you, with this market environment, and we don't know what the administration is going to do next with a tweet or a news conference, it's always best, because it only takes a couple minutes. When you program a call, make sure you have a strategy for your put, so that just in case, the weekend happens and there's a news or a headline that gets released, you'll have the put in place for oh, I didn't see that coming. Because most people will have a bias and say, I only am going to get into this trade for a bullish trade. But really, this chart can break down in a moment's notice with a headline. And that's what a lot of people don't take into consideration. And if you did and just program that put side, oh my gosh, then you don't care if it's bullish or bearish. You've protected yourself for both sides, and you could be able to profit sometimes within that week on both sides, depending on how volatile the market is. Now, that's really cool. But as you can see, coin has been in a downtrend, and we're just now looking like it's going to recover. In fact, if you take a look here, you can see that since May 18th, wow, staying under that 20, popped up a couple times, right? And we're there again. And so are we going to now get our momentum to stay above that zero line? We need momentum to stay above the zero, because remember that the institutions are controlling everything on your chart. And looking at any momentum indicator could let you know, are the institutions coming in or are they leaving? Okay. So we just did a bounce off the zero line. That is my segment for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Remember, Trading Made Simple. Come visit us. And if you have any questions, you can also email Sandra at tradingmadesimple.org. See you next week. Bye-bye.